G-Money.
Yo. What's up, man?
Make sure that came over there. It is good. Is it blinking? Yes, it is. How you doing, G?
I'm all right. How you feeling?
A lot is going on.
Of course.
Oh, man.
Of course.
A lot.
The streets are talking, man.
Yeah. Real quick before we get to our guest, what's going on with you? I heard that a lot of people, they can't really find me. I'm in hiding. I'm in.
Always in hiding.
Yes. Yeah. I'm somewhere overseas mentally. But where are you, man? I mean, these people are running up to you. Tell me the feedback you've been getting from the interviews.
Yeah, I've been outside. It's summertime, so I'm getting a lot of gigs outside, DJing, different events and stuff. So I've been outside in the parks and barbecues and, different events, and people stopping me from young to old. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's one particular age bracket. It's like all, matter of fact, I did a wedding about a week ago, right? Mm-hmm. An older guy walks by the booth and I'm DJing. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking he wanted a request. He's probably like, I want to say in his 60s. Okay. So he walked past me. He was like, "Hey, what up?" He said, "G-Money." I said, "Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Nice to meet you." I'm like, "What song you want to hear?" He's like, Nah, you from I watch your show." I was like, "Hell no, get out of here." So he's like, "Yo, I watch the show. I'm a big fan, man. Keep it up," and walked off. So it's like it's all ages. It's not like it's just teenagers or young adults. It's like, so people really tune in, bro.
And
so
they're saying your food?
Yeah, I'm definitely food out here. It's crazy. Shout out Killer Kev once.
My man, yeah,
they stopped me in the parks and like, "Yo, G-Money, you food. So
definitely, I definitely want to, flip the script. Is going through a whole new journey, man. I think that we, they say, I see videos. Well, I didn't really see videos. I'm hearing that, like there are other people that's doing it, but I don't think they're doing it like we're doing it.
Nah.
You know what I mean? I think that we're doing it different. You know what I mean? This is why, people were saying, why? I saw some comments. Why you took down episode 92, the second part? Mm-hmm. And it was just looking crazy. And then, one of the guests was saying that we were tag teaming on him. And I just feel like I don't have to explain anything to anybody.
Right.
I just feel like we don't want it to seem like the host, as hosts, that we're joining something to make somebody else look bad. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's not what we're trying to do.
It's not for the clout at all.
Because when I did that, when I used to turn up, nobody wanted to come on the show. Right. Based off of my pranks.
Right.
Queen Flip, he gonna wild out and all. Now I'm going straight gun. It is still. Damn if you do, damn if you don't.
You can't win.
Damn if you do. But I'm excited about the next episode. This is coming up. I'm excited, man.
It's time. We're gonna switch gears a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You went from one squad to another squad. You know what I mean?
G-Money.
Yo.
How you doing? You good? No, yeah, I see you getting ready. No, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Not ready? All right.
Let them chill, man.
Listen, man, real quick, man, shout out to everybody who came out and supported this week. I had a back-to-school event, my annual joint. So that was pretty dope. Give out like 500 book bags to the kids in the community. You know what I'm saying? Dope. So shout out to Showing Heart. Shout out to Coalition Kids, 103rd Precinct. Shout out to Bridging the Gap. Shout out to, everybody that contributed and helped out. Shout out to Tipsy Tomato. They brought out a bunch of pies for the kids.
I heard that.
They donated some pieces.
I mean, you making a difference. You making a difference in society.
I'm trying to do what I can, man.
You're making a difference in society, bro. You're making a difference.
You gotta whisper that.
Because they looking for me. They ain't gonna find me.
Yeah.
G-Money.
Yo.
Episode motherfucking 102. Nigga, we made it. Round of applause. The speaker on the bottom. Oh, okay. It's cool with the round of applause. Okay. JR, come here real quick. Now we gotta make sure we do it right. Because they're gonna say we biased. We don't want no biasness. The speaker on the bottom is turned off. I don't know what happened. Yeah. Let's see if you can see it. Yeah, shout out to JR in the building. Spread a round of applause one more time. G-Tucker, can we hear it? There we go. Be careful. Oh! Yes. We got a special guest, two special guests. Mm-hmm. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but I'm going to tell you the names that I know them by. You know what I mean? We got Pastor Benny. Can I call you that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's my title.
That's your title? My man Cano.
That's right, Cano.
Cano, what's up, man? Can I pull the mic a little closer to you if you want? I know you want to be all cool, Cano. Yeah,
Nah,
yeah.
I'm good.
You can sit smooth. Nah, you can smooth. Yeah.
Good,
Yeah. Just wanted to be a little close to you. Pull it forward because there we go, right there. And I'm gonna have them introduce themselves. But these are the Latin Kings. Can I say that, Latin Kings? Can I say
Absolutely.
that? Okay. Pastor, we start with you. Go ahead, tell the people who you are.
First and foremost, thank you for allowing us the opportunity to tell our story. It's a pleasure being here. I do want to recognize our fallen brothers. So I want to take a few minutes of silence to respect them from all spectrums. Kings, I just found out recently from my brother Cano that we had lost 2 of the original founding members. There were 10 of us, and I just got informed because I've been out of the light for quite some time. So I want to give them our utmost respect and give them at least a moment of silence for that.
Of course.
Also, some of the brothers from the Bloods, the Crips, all around, we got to respect them because these brothers, everyone across the spectrum put in that work, and we got to give them at least that respect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
With that being said, we want to, we're not here in any way, form, or fashion trying to diminish anyone. Everybody got their opportunity to tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm better known as Pastor Benny. I'm from East New York, Brooklyn. I'm one of the original 10. I'm in the manifesto of King Blood. You got a lot of brothers, certain individuals walking around here saying that they were the ones who were the founders. They was this, they was that. I was known as Benny Blanco, the Green-Eyed Bandit from East New York, Brooklyn. I'm one of the first original 10 members, actually the youngest out of all of them. And my name is in the manifesto. I was also the first HOS, the head of security all over the state of New York. And then I rose up the ranks within the almighty Latin King nation. And today I have one of the greatest privileges of but the best job bestowed upon any human being. I have the pleasure of being a pastor and working with our community. But we are here to set some records straight and to tell our story. Whether people want to believe it or not, that's on them. But the real ones that were there, they know, they can attest to that. And it takes a man to admit the truth. So, we're going to get a lot of comments and all that, but people are going to talk whether you do bad or good. They're going to talk. But we're going to speak whatever we have to say.
And introduce yourself, Cano, to people.
My name is King Cano. I wasn't one of the first. I came in, I was like 19 in 92. I was locked up for a serious case, and I became a king on Rikers Island before all this mess was going on. Before that, I became a king in 92. I had a position all through the jail system, and basically that's really it, you know what I'm saying? But we wasn't oppressing nobody.
Before we get to that, you guys, before we get to that,
go.
Yeah. Let's take it back a little bit, because we like to get the full story from our guests. You know what I mean? Like, we want to jump into it, just to, the spicy stuff. Let's take us back to when you guys were young, before you guys were part of Latin Kings. Where you say you're from Brooklyn, so. Well,
he's from Brooklyn. Originally, I'm from Queens. I'm from Woodside originally.
Woodside?
Yeah, Woodside. I was originally from Woodside. Then when I came home, my mother moved me out of there, moved me to East New York to get me up out of there when I came home.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually I moved out. I lived in the Bronx. I lived all over the place. Now I live in Long Island.
Talk about you guys' childhood. Like, what you guys were into when you were kids. You want to start?
I'm a typical Dominican. Baseball, beaches, Harley Davidsons. That's it, man. Very simple.
Yankees or Mets?
Yankees, diehard Yankee fan. You'll never meet another diehard Yankee fan better than me, man. Everybody who knows me knows that I'm a diehard Yankee fan.
So before we get to you, Pastor, let me ask you a question. So, as a child in Brooklyn, did you grow up with both parents? Were you born in DR? Were you born up here? Like, what was your childhood like? Where were you born? Were you born here, DR? What was it?
I was born in East New York, Brooklyn. My parents, they are from the Dominican Republic. My father is from a small town called Loma de Cabrera. It's actually on the borderline between Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Literally, where we're from, where my father's from, we can walk where you're at. We were deep in the hills. So now my mom, beautiful black woman, she was from the part of called on the other side of the shore, a small town called Montecristi. My father was a high-ranking official in the Dominican Republic and married my mom, and that's how they got together. They hooked up, came to New York. They conceived me in the Dominican Republic, and I had the privilege of being born in this country. My childhood was pretty good. Went to school, went to Franklin K. Lane, baseball, Skelly, Stickball, handball. You know, I was pretty good. I still got that mean ace. As old as I am, but that was life, man. And it was all about, you know, no disrespect to the new hip hop era right now, but we were all about. I was part of the b-boy era. We were breakdancing,
Okay.
you know, and DJing. We had a battle, we had a beef. We either took it on the linoleum floor, we took it on the graffiti on the wall, or we took it out on the turntables. That's what it was all about. It was back then. You had a beef, you will knuckle it up, shake hands, and keep it moving. Some of my best friends, our friendship began with fights. So we had a normal, you know, childhood, not traumatic or anything. I was raised with both my parents. Went to school. One of my goals was to become the first American doctor in the Dominican Republic where we were from. Unfortunately, life threw me a different curve, and, you know, we ended up where we ended up now. But we're still in the process of the human repair business, if you will. And it was pretty cool. And, you know, I don't have a right to complain about my childhood. It was pretty decent, man. And sometimes I wish that I could go into a time rap machine and go back into time, man. I'm still an old dinosaur, man. Old school hip hop, old school R&B. And back then things were real, man. It was different. The lingo was different. The respect, the level of respect was there. You knew, you recognized real. You could smell it, man. And people respected that. But today, it's a whole different ball game, man.
Got you.
Well, me, I was born in Manhattan. I come from a single mother home. My father separated from my mother when I was 6. He used to beat her. I ended up in a women's shelter with my mother. Ended up moving to Yonkers. We lived in Yonkers. I went to basically middle school and part of high school. Then I moved to the Bronx. Lived in the Bronx for a little while. Then we found our way back to Queens. And basically, it was what he was saying. Back then, it was more on some breakdancing, graffiti. I was a little car thief. That was my thing. I used to steal cars.
How did you learn how to steal cars?
There was an old Puerto Rican guy on the block. His name was Pito. And basically, that's how I learned how to drive, was in stolen cars.
Wow.
Yeah, when I was maybe 10, 11, 12, around that age, we was yapping the little 1.8s and all that back in the days.
Is that when you pull it down and the wire? Did that really work?
Nah, I used to go with the pop the cylinder, and with a screwdriver. That's it.
And that worked?
The American cars was with the wire. The pulley was with the Toyotas. You put the pulley in and pop it, and that's
Punto
it.
ocho, right?
Punto
Punto 8, yeah.
That was
1.8
the
Toyota
cars.
Corolla. That was the car.
And then there was some keys that used to just be able to wiggle in, and it would start. The old school Toyotas. You put a regular Toyota key in it, you wiggle it, and boom, it would start.
So that was so. And I have a question. So, did you know your father though? Did you?
I know my father.
Did you have
I had a relationship later on with him. I mean,
Okay.
when I started getting into trouble in high school, they sent me to my country to live with him. My father's from Spain. My mother's from Spain. I was born here.
So you went to Spain to live with your father?
Yeah, they had me over there. That's why I learned Spanish, to write it and read it. But they used to make fun of me because it was like, the American, the Yankee. So then I came back, and every time I got in trouble every summer, they would send me back.
He had hair back then. They were curly,
Yeah,
long locks.
Yeah, I
they
had
were
long
curly
hair.
back then.
Yeah, that's when.
What? So
My name comes from that. The Puerto Ricans used to call me Cano because I had light hair. So I used to have long hair.
what does Cano mean?
It's like, we say like canas, right? Like gray hair.
Gray
like
hair,
light
white
hair,
boy.
White boy,
You know?
complexion white. Because I look white.
You
You
do,
know what I'm saying? People confuse me for white. So that's
but you're not. You're
I'm Spanish.
Spanish. So and I want to. There's been a lot of talk, you know, about Spanish. Now, to be Spanish, you have to be from Spain. If you're from DR, Puerto Rico, what you
I'm
consider
Caribeño, man. I'm from the Caribbean.
Explain that to me.
You're going through the technicalities.
I go a lot. I go through. Let me tell you something. My people call my show. They argue and they curse me out, man.
All right. The difference is there's Spanish, which are from Spain.
Spaniards. Okay.
Those are European, which is the language. Spanish. That's the original language.
Okay.
Spanish. Not the original for the natives. I'm just saying for Spain, it's Spanish.
Got it.
Then you have the Caribbean, which breaks down Dominican. You have Puerto Rico. You have Cuba. But they all speak Spanish. Some of them still have their native tongues, but they speak Spanish. Then you have like Central American, and South America.
So Spanish is a language, though. It's considered a language.
Spanish is the language.
Got it. So
Everybody understands it, just different
dialects,
different
different
slangs,
words,
different
slangs.
words, but it's a universal language. It's like saying English from United States and England.
Okay,
You understand them, but certain words and certain accents are a little bit different, but you still understand it. So if you really was in England, you understand. You go over there, you know how to ask for food, you know how to get around. Spanish is the same thing. I go to any country. I've traveled all over the place, so it's a universal language.
And people will immediately, they will identify you from your language. From your, for example, the South Americans will identify who the Central Americans are. The Puerto Ricans and the Cubans and the Dominicans, we already know who we are because we have different accents. You know, we have different accents, we have different verbiage, we have different lingos, but we all speak the same language.
So, growing up, and I'm gonna let my man G Money start it off, but I just want to say, like, what's before I get to growing up, I'm gonna let you Hispanic. What does that mean?
I hate that word, man.
So is that
I hate that word.
Is that an insult?
It's not an insult.
It's not an insult, but it's like a derogatory term because what we're called Latinos is a much more better. They got this Latino X now stuff that I'm still trying to figure that out. So if there's anyone who's gonna DM you, please help a dinosaur out, man. I don't know what that terminology is. But when you tell us Hispanic back in the 60s, if you do the history with the Puerto Ricans coming here and the Chicanos in California, you would have them. They used to use the word Hispanic, which was a compound word. Whose panic are we? And they used it as a derogatory term because they didn't understand the language, they didn't understand the culture, they didn't understand. But they ate our food, they warranted our services, but they didn't understand who we are. And then that's when they began with the terminology calling us Hispanic. And this was the Caucasians, Hispanic. Whose panic are we?
So colon, you guys Hispanic is like calling blacks niggas.
Yeah,
same kind of.
I didn't want to use that word, but
Hold on, I didn't even knew that.
No, I didn't know either. But I saw the way he took it. As soon as you said Hispanic, I seen his face change. Like
No, I saw it too, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't
wouldn't
understand.
take it that far. I take the terminology nigga to converse to German. German, I take that word. When they say German, it's like me saying nigga to a black person.
And that was the language inside. That was the culture inside Rikers Island when they were addressing us, the Latinos, the Germans.
But hold on. So wait, hold on. So why do you think the younger generation know that the word Hispanic may be derogatory? Do you think they know that? Because
very seldom they use the word now Hispanic. Very seldom now. If you see
politically correct.
Thank you. You'll see in the application, Latino or other. And now they
took out the Hispanic.
They took out the Hispanic, but
noticed that.
Yeah. But in the beginning, from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, within that era, that's when that terminology was, took root. It was a point of departure for racism, if you will. And a lot of our elders took that word as an insult, and they instilled that in us.
Wow.
Never accept that.
Never.
We were called Hispanic or Spics. Back then, I heard
that
word right there.
That's where it breaks down.
I heard that.
Yeah, man.
Hispanic, Spics.
That's
where it comes from.
Okay, I didn't.
That's the root of it.
What?
Yeah, man.
Oh wow. So you guys, the proper terminology would be Latino.
Latino, because now you have a cultural context. You have a plethora of individuals now. Like, for example, when my brother Cano explained to you later, a lot of people don't know the history. They think automatically they have a preconceived notion that he's already Puerto Rican.
Right.
But they don't know he's from Spain, and he's actually one of the the correct terminology, Spaniard.
And some people look at it like we oppress the Spanish.
The Spanish people. So us as the Caribeños, or we're Dominicans or Coplátanos, we don't take that as an insult. We embrace that, and we're like, okay, cool, but that word, particularly that word Hispanic, that's a problem because of what our people went through back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Can I ask you a question real quick? And I want you to be as honest as you can. You know what I mean?
I hope so. This,
Yes.
that's
I'm half
the purpose of
Haitian.
being here.
I'm half Haitian, right?
Sapase, mon ami.
You can speak a little.
So you don't speak Creole?
Nabule. A little bit.
Okay.
I was born here, but I want to ask you a question. I want you to be honest as far as the Dominicans and Haiti. I know it gets a little crazy. It does, because we did a show on the Edge with Flip, and remember the Dominican young lady and Face was having a conversation.
Oh, right. At the
Yeah,
restaurant.
and it obviously is serious, but let me tell you what I'm aware of. You know, I'm 32 years old. You can tell me different. You know, let me see. All I heard, I think it was a couple of years ago, that in Dominican Republic, they were attacking the Haitians, setting their house on fire, doing this and that and the third. This is what I heard. This was my pre-notion. Now, when I spoke to the young lady, she was saying that some of my people from Haiti were going to the DR and squatters and stealing and doing a bunch of stuff. What is the truth? And I know you ain't gonna be biased. You pastor, you gotta be real. Tell me what the truth is, because they had footage of them attacking. That's what we saw.
The history between Dominican Republic and Haiti is a very sad history. Let me explain. At one time, we were called Hispaniola, the Dominican Republic and Haiti, La Isla Hispaniola. We were one at one time. Let's start with that. A lot of, when you ask a Dominican who's a little bit darker than you tell them, oh, tú eres un negro. No, I'm not negro. Yo soy europeo. They won't accept the fact that they're black. But truth be told, whether you want to accept it or not, Haiti and the Dominican Republic, we have the same DNA, because at one time we were one. Now, during the era of one of the worst dictators of the Dominican Republic, a man by the name of Trujillo, and you guys can Google it, or are we live, or is
No,
this?
we're not live. No,
okay.
we're not live. No.
Okay, so whoever is going to watch it, they can Google it. Trujillo began to implement the same rhetoric that this orange buffoon is implementing right now. He began to spew that venom of hate. In fact, if my mind doesn't fail me, and I remember correctly, my father used to tell me the story because he was a military man during that era. Trujillo used to say, I will pay $1,000 for the head of a Haitian and the head of a homosexual. And that's when the hate began to arise in the country. And the rhetoric of divide and conquer was born. And that is what, out of that rhetoric, out of that labor, the fruit of that hate is taking fruition right now in our country. There's bad people on every side. No one's better than anybody. It's true. Some of the Haitians come over to the Dominican Republic for a better living. Some of them are not afforded an opportunity to make have a better quality of life, if you will. And people don't like them. People are thinking like the same thing in this country. The immigrants are coming, they're taking your jobs, but you're not doing what these guys are doing. You're not cooking. You're not doing the lawns. You're not washing the dishes. You're not putting in that work. So who's taking whose job? Allow an individual to have a normal life. And right now, the new generation, it's sad to say, we are living in an era of knowledge, but drowning in ignorance, man, because we fail to do our history. If they knew what was happening back then, maybe they would not know maybe they wouldn't be doing what they're doing now. I mean, all it takes, man, it happened in Germany with Hitler and the Jews. It took one man to begin to spin one type of rhetoric, a type of language, and people began to embrace that. Because you begin to give this false propaganda, and people sooner or later they start to believe it. And it's the same thing within the Dominican Republic. It saddens me. It's what's happening. My daughter is Haitian. I have a daughter with a woman from Haiti. And some of the people that I mess with in Brooklyn are from Haiti, Jamaica, and Panama. Some of the most beautiful people I've ever met in my life, man. And I'm still, it baffles me to the point that we're in 2019 and we still have that type of mentality, man.
Wow. That's real. I'm talking that talk, man. I appreciate it. All right, so let's shift over here real quick. Wow, that caught me.
I can't top that. I can't top that one.
The line he said about the whole knowledge is here. And we say it again one more time.
We are living in an oasis of knowledge and drowning in a pool of ignorance, man.
That's real.
Dope, yeah.
I don't know how you can top that either. That's
That's it. Show's over.
Nah, so let's get back to you now. Take us back. You said you were 10, 11, 12 years old now. You were still in cars, running around. Like, what made you do those kind of things when you at that age?
Well, my mother worked 2 jobs to keep us off welfare, and I used to basically run the streets because no one was there.
Right.
So I used to just go downstairs, and there was always something back in the days to find something to do. So you would always gravitate to the older dudes. Peer pressure, if you want to say it, whatever. But, that's how it was back then, You look for the older, either father figure or older brother figure. You go out, who's outside at 10, 11, 12, 1 in the morning? The older dudes. So, come here. Shorty, grab this car real quick. And that's what I used to do.
In the street, and this is a question for both of you, but in the street, when I was younger, and because, like I said, now I'm going back, I had an issue, and I'm going to be honest. I have a live show I did called The Callers. And the audience used to say that they felt that I hated or I didn't like Spanish people because I said that I felt that Spanish people shouldn't say the word nigga. That's how I felt, because I'll tell you why. Before I learned that we all won in the history, when I was younger, when I used to go to the Bronx or wherever, Spanish people never used to say that they were black. No, I'm not black. They used to tell me I'm not black. That's in my mind. I thought that was in my mind. I felt that was a word that we, as black people, took and made it into a word of endearment. This is what I thought. But a lot of callers cursed me out like, yo, you hate it. But it wasn't that. It was just that when I was younger, growing up, this is what I saw. I love you see me and Po, my man. It's not about that, but it was just that when I was younger, growing up, this is what they didn't. Certain people didn't relate or made it seem like to me they couldn't relate with me. They were like, I'm not black, I'm not with all that. That's why. So I don't know, where do you think that stemmed from?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, when I lived in Yonkers, I lived in a black neighborhood. We was the only Spanish family on the block. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I didn't know the difference. Back then, when I was growing up, going to school, I didn't look at it like, oh, he's black, he's this, he's that, because that's all it was around me. Even though I was the lightest skinned person on the block, I had the older dudes that always used to look out for me on the block. Like I was telling you, around the corners where the Puerto Ricans used to be, there was a few of them on Elm Street, but on Ash, the whole block was black. You know what I'm saying? My first kiss was with a black girl. My first girlfriend was a black girl. So it's.
But where do you think that stemmed from as far as like
the N-word? Like when I never used the nigger. That wasn't the word. You would use that like on some hateful thing. Nigga, that's my nigga. That lingo picked up in jail. I'll be honest with you. I picked up that lingo in jail. Around that, everywhere I grew up, you wasn't allowed to use that word. Black people didn't even use that word. You understand what I'm saying? Like where we was growing up in Yonkers, it was racial riots back then in the schools when they were trying to integrate the schools. So that word was more, oh, you a nigga lover, or you this, or that. It was more of a white person would use that word. Blacks didn't use that word amongst themselves in my neighborhood, where we was from. Because the older people be like, yo, what you doing? It was a word that wasn't really used. Now it's used very commonly. It's like, whatever.
But the question I have is like, why was it the certain people? Like
it's just the neighborhood you was probably around. There's different people, different things. Like when I was growing up in the Bronx, the God bodies used to talk, oh, Paru this or Jaku, like I was telling you. So there was racial separation back then in the lingo where it depends on the area you grew up in, wherever you was at. That's really what it is. Like you go to the Bronx, it's really mixed.
It is.
It's very mixed. Brooklyn too. Brooklyn's mixed, but certain neighborhoods is predominantly Puerto Rican, predominantly Italian, predominantly black. So it all depends where you live.
Understood.
Is how that comes out. You know what I mean? It all depends on how you use the words or how you trying to use it. Like if I see you and I be like, yo, what's up, my nigga? I'm not saying nigga. I'm saying as a term of endearment, like, yo, what's up? I try to stay away from that word because people look at my skin and be like, yo, you shouldn't be using that because people don't realize I'm Spanish until they hear me talk or something. So, but I try to stay away from that word.
I'm of the mindset, and I'm coming from a biblical perspective. The Bible says that there is power of life and death in the tongue.
Wow.
The word, the N word, which I refuse to speak it because every time I say it or every time someone says it, they give it life. If you understood, if our brothers and sisters understood the horrible acts of atrocity committed against our ancestors with that word, if they truly understood and they sat down and did their history, I guarantee you that they will never use that word. I don't care. You can't tell me that you're going to give me a plate of food and you're going to have the dog poop on it and say that this is a meal for you.
Wow.
That's the same way you're using that word. You're trying to make something bad good. It can never happen because there's a history. There's blood that's spread on the floor that's crying out from our ancestors telling us, back then it was about respect.
100%.
Back then, if you study the history in New York City, particularly the greatest city in the world, 50s, 60s, and 70s, when the Mexicans came to Los Angeles, to California, when the Puerto Ricans came here to El Barrio, everybody got together, man. Only the ignorant individuals who failed to do their history are the ones who are using that word as their anchor. And oftentimes, when you want to replace the N word or use certain, every other word you want to drop the F-bomb or something, that means that your vocabulary is limited.
I heard that.
Why would you even... The N word and the new word that they're using now derived from the old word. You can't turn something that's bad into good. You can't.
Like you said with the word Hispanic.
Same thing.
Got
Spick.
Why would you
same
do
thing.
that? I mean, it's an offense, man. I would never. That word will never come out of our... Again, there was power of life and death in the tongue. We need to change the cultural mindset of our new generation and teach them, allow them the opportunity. Listen, man, this is what happened. I have an 18-year-old daughter, and she was going to a predominantly white school. I have a 3-year-old. From a previous marriage, I have a 30-year-old, 29, 27 from my first marriage. From my current marriage with the Haitian sister, she has an 18-year-old daughter. I'm the only father that she's ever recognized. And she has beautiful, beautiful locks. And one day she came home, and she cut them all off. Because they were making fun of her. They were calling her mop head and everything. So I went, and I took her, and I sat her down in my office. I started doing the YouTube, started looking at the Black Panther movement, Diana Ross, all these beautiful women that were natural. And it transformed her. She says, wow, they used to wear hair like that? I said, yeah, mama, they used to wear it. And I sat her down, and we said, and right now she's got her own YouTube channel. She's doing makeup strictly for African-American Latinos, man. Because she didn't know. She thought she was ugly. She thought she was dirty. She thought she was nasty. She thought she was disgusting. She was deplorable. Because people made her feel like that. But once she understood, and she's beautiful, man, right now. I see her, man. I'm a proud papa.
That's dope.
And it's up to us, man, to change that mentality.
That's real. Yo, so let's talk about, just back to you again. And let's talk about now when you get incarcerated. How'd you first get locked up?
How to get locked up?
The first time, yeah.
Oh, the first time? It was for stealing a car.
Of course. Of course.
That was the first time. They let me go out the precinct. My mom came pick me up.
Oh,
I don't even know. I was like 14. They just let me go. Then I went to court a couple of times, and that was it. Then I think the second time was probably graffiti. A lot of my arrests was like dumb things in the beginning. Mostly was Grand Theft Auto.
Okay.
That was really
nothing crazy. You went out there fighting, shooting, and going.
Nah, I wasn't doing none of that in the beginning. I was just chilling. You know what I mean? I mean, that's really what it was. My first time on Rikers Island, I think the first time was an assault charge. I think it was like 85. It's about 85. No, 86. I think it was 86. I was still in high school. Stayed there for a week. Got all odd. beat the case. Mostly it was just little bullshit cases, like, to be real. Fighting in school.
Right.
You know what I mean? Fighting on the 7 train, going back and forth to school. We used to be beefing with the dudes from Corona. We used to be beefing on the train. Dumb things. Back then, we didn't really carry guns. We was carrying hammers and screwdrivers and shit like that. We used to go to, what was the school, Art and Design, and fight over there with the Decepticons and all that crazy stuff back in the days. You know, me and Rockness Monster had mad stories because, you know, he used to be a D-Sep, well, he still is a D-Sep, shout out. Yeah. But yeah, bro, there's, you know, there was the dumb things, you know what I mean?
When did you what did you do to go in your real time? What did you do?
What was I accused of?
Yeah, well, yeah.
What, allegedly?
Yeah, because
I was allegedly arrested for a homicide and 2 attempt murders and an assault charge. I had 15 counts.
And then
I was 19.
19 years old in Brooklyn.
No, in Queens.
In Queens.
In Queens. I was going to Sufton Supreme.
Did you go to trial for that?
I went to 2 trials. I got 2 mistrials, and the third one, this brother right here made me cop out.
Wait, hold up.
We got history, brother.
That's the whole up.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to start?
It's time now. Let's get to it now.
So hold up. So now you said you were accused. You had a mistrial. So you were accused of a homicide.
I was accused of a murder.
Okay.
2 attempt murders and an assault.
Okay. Now and then the pastor, brother right here, asked you to cop out.
Not like that.
I know, but you know. Basically.
I had a mistrial. First trial, I had 11 guilty, 1 not guilty. They came down from 20 to life. On the next trial, when I went to the next trial, they offered me 15 to life. I had 6 guilty, 6 not guilty. When I started picking my jury for my 3rd trial, I don't know, I let him tell his part of the story, but something that happened in his situation, he told me, don't play with these crackers. What they offering you, take that.
And how much they offered you at the time?
The last offer was 3 to 9.
And you took it?
I took it.
What made you not convince, but tell Cano to take that?
He's my brother, man, and I had just blown trial. I was arrested, wrongfully convicted for murder in the 2nd degree. I went to 3 trials. I was on Rikers Island for almost 5 years. I was fighting my case. We were fighting for our lives, man. We wasn't even about that life. We was just trying to get home to our family, man. And here I am, falsely accused of murder in the 2nd degree. I mean, I'm a young Latino, uneducated with the system, didn't have the luxury of obtaining a lawyer. I'm fighting with the police. I'm fighting with the dudes on Rikers Island. I'm fighting for my life on the court. So my first trial was a mistrial. My 2nd trial was a hung jury. The 3rd trial, I began Monday, and I was found guilty on Wednesday afternoon at murder in the 2nd degree. And they try to bury me in the system, man. They try to bury me.
So wait. Let's
when I saw the brother in the bullpen, and we was always bumping heads because we were going at the same court. We were going to Suffolk Supreme. And I told him, I said, Canito, listen, man. They just put my lights out, man. If they're giving you something good, because I didn't have an offer. They gave me some offer, and they was trying to mess me around. And I said, you know, the hell with it. I never committed the crime. I'm going all out. And I told him, and when I had that devastating blow, I didn't want him. And he was not the only one that I spoke to. I spoke to a lot of brothers. Listen, man. You know, don't play with these people. I'm for me at that moment, I thought I was dead. So after our talks and stuff, he decided to talk. And
I wasn't trying to take it.
Nah, he wasn't. He wasn't.
I was trying to go to trial again. Because dudes that were putting me at this scene was all incarcerated for multitude of crimes. And they were trying to use me as a scapegoat. So I was trying to roll the dice. You know what I mean? Because that was really it.
I saw it.
I was ready to go again. I already picked the jury. I was ready to go. I had a newborn baby I was trying to get home to. And that's really what it was. But I came back and I seen him destroyed. And he was like, yo.
real quick, when you say wrongfully convicted,
Oh, it's public record. I'm in the process right now litigating my case. One of the individuals, years later, one of the individuals who falsely accused me not only ended up being in the same prison where I was at, right across the cell. The victim's wife, the victim's mother, he wrote an affidavit. He was arrested. He was a Dominican. He doesn't know how to read and write. He was arrested for an illegal traffic violation, if I'm not mistaken, according to what he told me. And they had him sign a piece of paper in the 115 precinct right there, 93rd Street and Northern Boulevard. They had him sign a piece of paper that said, we're going to release you. Little did he know that he was signing a statement saying that he witnessed me commit the crime. And they said, they put my lights out, man. And later on, they caught some handguns and some stuff at his store. And he ended up in Happy Nappy, Eastern Napa Nap. And I was there because I was going to college back then. And when I saw him, he told me the whole story. And immediately he got on the phone. The victim's family, the victim's mother, the victim's children, the victim's wife on their own volition started visiting me. And they started writing letters of support and affidavits stating that I never committed a crime. I was nowhere near the vicinity. They didn't have no guns. They didn't have no DNA evidence. They just had his statement and another statement by another dude that was around there. He was the neighborhood rat. And they put my lights out, man.
how much time did you?
My original sentence was 125 years to life. When I was up north, I went to school and I went from a GED to a master's degree. I became a certified paralegal, earned my associate's degree, started litigating my case. And they gave me, later on in 1997, they gave me something that's called a modification of time. In layman's terms is that we reduced your sentence, and this is public record, we reduced your sentence, and at the discretion of the court, we're going to reduce your time. And then they reduced it to 33 1/3 to life. I continued submitting motions. I was hitting the court so bad that they had to probably vomit me out of the damn system. And from 33 1/3, they gave me 22 to life, from 22 to 15, and then I ended up doing 20. I came home on September 27, 2011.
So how long it took you to get, all that knowledge? Because, I read somewhere that you was dyslexia as well before you went to...
I was uneducated. It took me at least approximately 10 to 12 years to get my education, going from a GED to a master's degree. Now I got my doctorate, and I'm currently going for my second master's degree right now. Yeah.
So that's wow. That's crazy. The system is crazy.
Yeah, the system is crazy. And the sad part about it, we were fighting each other and we were going through all these wars, and I'm looking at myself now in retrospect, I'm thinking, if we all could have came together as how powerful we were, we could have fought the system, and we're still killing each other out here right now. Back then, and what I saw with my brother Canito, I didn't want him to go ahead. And when he told me he had a newborn baby, I said, listen, man, I already lost mine. My wife left me for my best friend. I'm never seeing my family, everything. I said, don't let that happen to you, man.
Pastor, hold on. Don't talk that fast, Pastor.
She served me divorce papers while
Pastor,
I was waiting for
I like you a lot. I went to the church looking for you, man, by the Barclays. Try to find you.
Yeah, man.
We can't let you talk that fast. Let's slow down. Back up. What happened?
Trying to go back.
Best friend?
What in the world? How? Why? What happened, Pastor? Tell the truth.
Listen, man, when you go up north, your friends, everybody plays Houdini. They do the disappearing act. Everybody knows that. The only one who stood by my corner was my mom and my nephew's mom, my little sister. They were the only ones who came through.
How did you find out? What was it? You was in jail. How did you find? Did they come up?
Well, when we were, they didn't know that I knew at the time. And one of the times when she showed up, I was, I believe, in Shawanga Correctional Facility. I had just finished doing 5 years in solitary confinement. And she came, and he came, and then she brought me my kids. And with another friend, with our best friend, because we all grew up with each other. So when I told my best friend, I said, listen, do me a favor, take my kids out to the yard and give them some ice cream or something. I need to talk to them too. And I already knew. We were up north. There's something that's called FRP, Family Reunion Program. We were married, and she was supposed to show up by the trailer. I was in Auburn Correctional Facility at that time. My father had a friend up in Rochester, so he offered her the ride. She never showed up, so when I called, I spoke to my daughter. And my daughter was, 6 or 7 years old at that time. And she said, no, Daddy, I miss you. I wanted to see you, but we were at Mommy's boyfriend's house. My whole world, my whole entire world shattered, man. It shattered. I mean, the hate was the emotional tsunami that was happening when I heard those words from my daughter. And I kept quiet. I said, put your grandma on the phone. And her grandmother confirmed it. I hung up the phone. So I focused my mind. I said, if I dwell on this, I'm going to go crazy. Mm-hmm. And I started doing stuff that I'm not proud of because I started taking out my anger on a lot of people. Right. And I had to focus and make believe that the world didn't exist so I could fight for my freedom and continue because I said, I'm not dying in prison. I'm not going to be another statistic. Mm-hmm. And I just went forward and started litigating my case and doing the best. I started going to school. I was,
Watching you talk about it, I could tell it was something. It was a tough blow. When you spoke to them both, what did they admit it to you? How
she put her head down, and it took me 7 or 8 years to forgive them. And then after I sat down and I wrote a letter. I wrote a 10-page letter on the yellow. I don't know if you guys know, but the inside you guys
the legal
know,
pads.
The legal pads. Back and forth. I wrote a 10-page letter. And I told him, I forgave you, man. I forgave you and I forgave him. And, right now I wish
Did they ever apologize?
No,
or?
There's no need.
No need.
No need.
So
no need because I'm not going to give them the power to hold that over me. So I had to release that.
That was self-reflection.
Absolutely.
You self-reflected and you understood that I can't hold on to this.
Because here's why. Sometimes, as men, we play these psychological mind games and we become egotistical. And it was no way, form, or fashion I should have expected her to do the time with me. I mean, she was young. She was beautiful. We were at the prime of our lives. We had our apartment. She was pregnant with my son, Michael. My daughter, Jocelyn, was like a year old. And she didn't know that. So me being snatched away from them caused a traumatic experience. Then when I was going to trial, I found out from her father, may he rest in peace, that when she found out the guilty verdict, she threw herself in front of a bus with my daughter and my son. And still, she's never been the same. And that compelled me, because, I love them, man. That was my best friend. Everybody can tell you that me and this sister, we were like the best, man. And when I found out, my whole world shattered. And then I had to numb that. I had to forgive them, let that go, and focus on my freedom. And fight for my life, and and by the grace of God, here I am.
So, yeah, it's different. Son. I didn't expect to hear all this type of stories.
The reality of it, when you're doing big bids, you can't expect a woman to stand by your side, bro. Because if you do, like, I'm gonna keep it real. Look, my first offer was 20 years. When I was waiting for the verdict on my first trial, my wife was there with my childhood homegirl that they grew up with. So I'm thinking that they'd support me. When I turn around, she hit me with my divorce papers.
Lord have mercy.
On my first trial, while I was waiting for a verdict.
Can you imagine the trauma?
Waiting for a verdict.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? So imagine the mentality. I go back to the cell with that type of stress that you're looking at 20 years.
Right.
Well, more than that, their offer was 20. So imagine what they was going to hit me with. And now she trying to peel out. You know what I mean? So it's jail. If you expect to keep your sanity, you like the Walking Dead in there. Because honestly, you dead to the world. You know what I'm saying? Everything keep moving. Kids, everything keep growing. You in there, you still stuck in the same time frame. And all the feelings you had before you went in there, you still got all those feelings, or the anger, or the thing. So you in there stuck with those feelings and with those ideas that whole time. So if you going in and thinking that a woman's going to do 20 years with you, 30 years with you, there's something wrong with you. Now, if you understand, listen, you're going to hold me down, man, whatever you do out there, as long as I don't know about it, it's all good, just keep holding me down. If you got that type of mind frame, then you good. And if she doesn't, because you got a lot of good women that really do do the right thing. Like my wife right now, she was my best friend. When my wife left, she did the bid with me, and I'm still with her. And we going on, 27, 28 years.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Married. I got 2 kids with her. So she came and did the bid after that. But that was just my homegirl at the time. You understand what I'm saying? When my wife left, me and her were just cool, and it just kept going from there. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I remember when I called her one time to speak to my daughter, she said, "I miss you." I said, "No, you don't. You missed the bus to Auburn."
get ready, Max. Get ready.
Left that at that and just hung up and continued to do my bid, man.
When did you first join the Latin Kings?
Oh, the good stuff.
Good stuff. Yeah, it's time. Let's get to it.
It's time.
1986, man.
1986.
That's a good year, man. That's you know.
You were born that year. Get out of here. What happened? How did you join the? What happened?
Well, my story is a very peculiar story because I'm Dominican.
Okay.
And very rarely did you see at that time, a Dominican joining what they call a Puerto Rican gang. And actually, it was not even the original founder of the Latin Kings in Chicago was actually a Chicano. And King Blood is Cuban. So when we were up top, we had beef with the 5%ers. 5%ers were, they were oppressing a lot of the Latino brothers. Mm-hmm. And, the gangs wasn't, the Latinos was not united that much at that time. And King Blood, he got together with a couple of us and we spoke, we sat down, we said, what the hell, we put it together. And we started out with 10. There are 8 of us who are, from the original 10, there are 8 of us who are alive. 2, we just lost 2 of them. May they rest in peace. Mm. And we were few, man. We wasn't thousands by the thousands, man. We were few and we held it down.
Okay. So King Blood started the Latin Kings
in New York City.
In New York State.
New York State.
So the Latin Kings was already
established in Chicago.
The history of the Latin Kings, they became as a political movement when Pedro Albizu Campos was trying to run for office in Chicago, and he was looking for the support of the Latinos. Mm-hmm. And the Latin Kings back then in Chicago, they were with the mindset of, revolutionizing an entire world. They were down with the political movement. Mm-hmm. And that's how they started over there. Fast forward several years later, decades later, if you will, here in New York, King Blood saw the oppression of the Latinos. And he saw and spoke to a few of us that in his eyes or in his mind, said these dudes are thorough. We sat down, we had a conversation, and we said, yeah, let's do it. We're not going to accept this. We're definitely not going to accept this.
So who gave King Blood the
permission? Nobody.
Whoa.
In fact, if I remember correctly, when we first started coming up, the brothers from the motherland, we called it Chicago, they came out here. They came out here deep. Mm-hmm. They came out here deep, and they stepped to us. They wasn't coming here to play. And let me tell you something. Chicago's a different monster. For those who know what Chicago really was back in the days, and still is a different monster. So they came and we sat down and we met at a neutral ground. One thing that they respected, that we never backed down, and we recognized that we were wrong. King Blood recognized that he didn't have permission, and it was one of his brothers. Actually, his brother was one of the original from the motherland, and came with the concept of Latin Kings here, and gave it to Blood, and Blood went forth. And when we sat down with the brothers and sisters, they gave us the green light.
Yeah, sat down in prison or outside?
No, outside. They came outside.
Yeah, that's different. Blood came from Chicago. He was a peewee in Chicago. Mm-hmm. So he didn't really... Peewees are young. He was like 13, 14, whatever. He was young in Chicago running the streets. So when he came to New York, he didn't really have the knowledge, understanding what was going on with the nation. He just had the concept of... He was a younger. So when he started in prison, he didn't have permission to start. He didn't have permission to start when he started it.
So he just sat at the table. So because what were y'all going through in the prison system? Because we hear the stories of oppression, but then I heard that you guys were being recently I heard that you guys were being
We oppressed who?
oppressed as well.
Oppressed
No,
too.
but
Oppressed
who are they saying that we oppressed?
They're
Predators.
saying that no, they're saying that they said that the Bloods were outnumbered. Well, the warden. Okay,
You got to go before that. Let's before
let's go
you go
before
to
that.
the let's go to the story before the Bloods.
Yes.
tell me.
Let's
teach
go
me.
to the story
I'm just
because the
telling you
real
what
beef
I-
was with first was the 5%ers.
We started the beef.
You
with
have
the
two
5%.
different kind of 5%ers. You got regular 5%ers, and you had the renegade 5%ers. You got 5%ers that would teach and build, and try to bring you knowledge, understanding. They try to bring you to 120s. They would try to teach you that.
Absolutely.
Then you had the renegade ones that was like, yo, son got a chain. Yo, what's up? We're going to go get son. Yo, son got sneakers. Son got this. So now you got to understand who was the target. The minority. We was the minority at the time. Latinos.
So you being in prison, or
Mm-hmm.
you guys remember before you that the Spanish were were you guys being picked on? Like what was?
Absolutely, we were being picked on.
Not
Absolutely.
everybody. But I'm going to break it down. Listen, let me break it down the best way. When we was first coming to prisons, the biggest blocks that was holding everything down was the Jamaicans. The Jamaicans had, because remember, back in the days, in the 80s, remember all these movies and everything.
Steven Seagal.
All the Jamaicans. Used to go to jail and it'd be like 1,000 Jamaicans. Boom, 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 all this crazy stuff. Everybody from the spots, they was getting, listen, I'm just keeping it 100, baby.
Don't make sound effects
Bro,
like that, bro.
I'm going to start hitting the wall. Blood clot.
You had the Jamaicans,
Listen.
big things are going on in the city.
Yard boy. Yankee man. But the Jamaicans had things, I'm not even gonna lie. They was really the big thing besides the 5%ers. The Muslims, I'm not even gonna consider them part of it. The Muslims do what they do. But gangs, what they consider gangs, the 5%ers and the Jamaicans.
What was the Jamaicans gang
Particularly
called?
the smokes.
The smokes.
The smokes.
They used to throw something or some whatever, like if they were smoking weed or whatever, it was called the smokes.
And they were deep.
Oh yeah, they were deep.
The Jamaicans were deep.
They were deep.
The
And they
Jamaicans
was
were
putting
deep.
that work in.
The Jamaicans were deep. And you messed with one, you was fighting
You
all
was
of them.
fighting the whole
All of
tribe,
them.
man.
All of them.
They didn't play that.
They got the same mentality that Latins have. They family oriented. They all from the yard. Somehow, bro, you messed with one, it was like forming Voltron.
So
That
that,
was
so those.
That was the
situations-
original beef on Rikers Island after it transformed from the 5%ers, because the 5%ers started losing the momentum. And Rikers at the time in the early 90s, it was
That's
the
when the
Jamaicans.
Jamaicans, they
It
were
was the
coming up.
Jamaicans. The Jamaicans were strong. The Jamaicans were strong.
So that's
You gotta-
what made you
West
guys.
Indians,
You had to
Jamaicans.
respect them, man. You have to respect them. They had the mentality, man. And the Trinidadians, the Guyanese, all of them came under the Jamaicans. And they was powerful, man. They was powerful. They were deep.
That's what made you guys create the Latin Kings in New York.
No.
No.
The one that started because of that was the war with the 5%ers.
But okay, but let's go back, like you said. So the Jamaicans now. But what made, in your opinion, you can't speak for the smokes, but what made the Jamaicans? Were the Jamaicans picking on you
No,
guys?
it wasn't
No.
a picking.
No, it wasn't
They
a picking.
just dominated.
They just dominated.
All right, let's put it like this. If you hit HDM has, was it 80 people? 80 cells? 3 phones? 80 people, 3 phones. You think everybody's getting on that phone?
I don't know.
I would assume so. They would.
You would assume that 80 people going to get on that horn.
They're supposed to.
We're not talking about supposed to. We're
Okay,
talking
no,
about
no.
reality of it.
Yeah, all right.
So the biggest problems in jail was
The Jacks.
the jacks. You pick up that phone, it was like a house phone. You could stay on that phone 8 hours. There was no time limit. So that phone, that horn, is what was the major drama. You know what I'm saying? So when you come into a house, first thing you want to do is let your family know where you at so you can get a visit. Now picture another man telling me I can't get on that phone. And he don't got a uniform on. He a regular inmate. You think I care what color he is? I'm gonna get on that phone. My lights is about to get turned out. You think I'm worried about catching another case or catching something? You gonna let me on
I'm
that
gonna
phone?
die in prison. I got
You
no
gonna
other
let me
choice.
on that phone? That was the beef. Was the phone? The phone was the beef. The Jamaicans, it wasn't really the robbery thing. Jamaicans wasn't really on that robbery thing. They did whatever they did, but it wasn't. It was more the oppression of the phone and the domination. You couldn't get on that phone. They had the shit on smash. So that was really the beefs that started creating the beefs was the phone. That was the beefs with the Jamaicans.
Now picture you coming back from Rikers Island. You get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. They throw you in the bullpen. You spend hours there eating a bologna sandwich. You blow trial. Your light's done. And you coming back to the house and you want to tell your people, you trying to make the next move to see what my lawyer's going to do. What, let's prepare this appeal. Come see me or anything. And you're not able to get on that phone? Ain't no man alive going to tell me that I'm not able to get on that phone.
So it started with the phones.
Yes.
That was the biggest beefs on
The
Rikers
biggest
Island
beef.
in the 90s. This before, we talking about pre-Bloods.
Okay, pre-blood.
Bloods didn't even
Bloods.
exist at
There
that
was
time.
no Bloods at the time.
And if there was probably one or two, and it was from LA.
From LA. And they rocked with us was because they was under the People Alliance.
Yes, the People Alliance.
Wait, hold on. Okay.
What's that?
That's a coalition that was made out of Chicago with the peoples. The peoples, you got peoples and folks. You got People Nation,
We
you
were
got the Folk
peoples.
Nation.
Folks were
Everything
our
that's
enemies.
under the 5-point star. Everything that's 5, pops 5.
5 alive,
Everything
6
is-
gonna die. People's popping, disciples dropping.
Yeah.
So the Bloods was under that 5-point banner.
So wait. Let's because you guys talk fast. So because you good talkers, I gotta slow you down for me.
Mm-hmm.
Who came up with the People Alliance?
That's in
That's in
that was
Chicago.
Chicago. That's
That
in the
was in Chicago.
70s.
It had nothing to do with New York.
That's got nothing to
Okay.
do with us.
So
but they came here and we respected that.
you respected
Because
that.
it's in our lessons.
Absolutely.
100%.
So the people and who did it consist of though?
You had at the time Vice Lords, you had traveling Vice Lords, you had the El Rookins, you had who else at the time? The Bloods, Peace Stones, Black Peace Stones,
Those were the peoples.
Black Panthers,
And then that's as far as for the 5.
everything
Yes.
that pops 5.
And where does that terminology for the 5 come from? Right under the 5. What is that like? Is it anything special about it? It's a
It's
star.
just there's a star. It's a 5-point
5-point
star.
star.
What's the meaning of a 5-point star though?
It's the crown. It's the crown that affiliates all of us together.
Got
It's a
it.
symbol. It's like it's an emblem, if you will, of these organizations.
Like the
these
6,
families.
everything they do is 3 and 6s.
We do everything is
Everything
5.
is a 5.
Got it. Wow. So now
Which is like T. Rogers took it from Chicago to L.A. And that's the Peace Stones, which later on became what they became, the Jungle, the different stones and everything, but originated in Chicago.
understood.
And they're under the People's Alliance.
So let's fast forward a little bit. The phones going crazy, the Jamaicans. Do you remember, bring us to the day that King Blood came and said, yo, what were you doing? How did it come? Was it a kite sent? How did that whole conversation happen?
I was actually playing handball. We just came from commissary. Everybody's flossing. You eating your little ice creams and stuff. And I'm playing handball, and I was approached by this Cuban brother. So they were watching me. I had 2 days prior to that, I had gotten into a fight. This dude tried to come at me, and I had hit him up. And at that time, there were very few Dominicans at that time. And he said, Shorty, you got a lot of heart, man. And I just said, it is what it is. I'm just, trying to survive here. So we had a conversation, and they had invited me, and then they showed me the concept of bringing all the Latinos together. And I said, wow, man, that's pretty cool. And I saw what was happening at that time. I said, I'm with it.
What did you see, though? I said you saw the phone, you saw getting robbed. Like,
People were getting robbed. People were getting jumped. People were, you come in with a chain. Back then, you could rock your jewelry back then.
I heard.
And dudes were getting snatched. We had expensive sneakers. You had expensive boots and stuff. And people were just taking it off of you. And, we were herbed. And I said, you know what? I'm with it, man. I'm with it. What we got to do?
And you witnessed the Latino
Absolutely.
being, and these were by the Jamaicans or the
No, we were by
no.
the 5%ers.
Those are the 5
percenters.
percenters.
The Jamaicans, we made that very clear.
You did.
Jamaicans wasn't on that.
They wasn't on that.
No, he said that. Yes,
They wasn't on
Pardon me.
Yeah.
You did make that clear. So the 5%ers were more like being
But when we say 5%, I need you to understand what
Please
my
explain.
brother broke it down. You have the righteous 5% of that. They wasn't about that.
That teaches you. He did say
Teaching
that.
you.
Yes.
They will build you up. You have the righteous brother.
Then the
You know what?
renegade.
They had the poor righteous teachers. These brothers were on it. And, you know, they were about education. They were about black pride. They were about rising the people and, you know, going against the man. But then you had these young kids that came under them who, you know, it was back then it was cool to have a moniker like knowledge or see Allah or something like that. It was cool because, you know, because of Rakim, you know. And so these young cats used to come and they had that type of mentality. And they were the ones who started that stuff. And in our eyes, we categorized everybody as one because you're a part of that. If you're a part of that and you allow that to happen, then you got to get it too. And that's how we transformed.
And he said the renegade.
The renegade 5%ers.
Okay, so you sit down.
We need to make that clear.
Make it clear. Yes. Please,
Okay.
Make it clear on camera.
Yes.
So
Because we don't want to categorize. You had these 5%ers that they were the epitome of true manhood.
understood.
Of what Malcolm X and these brothers who stood up to the system. They were the epitome of that. And we wanted to emulate that. But we didn't have enough fortitude to rise above our confusion to follow that. And then we saw these young cats coming in and trying to, what was the word back then? Herb us? That was the word? They tried to herb us.
That was a Vic.
You know, it was a Vic. And, you know, we saw that. And if you couldn't correct that, then anybody associated with that, you getting it too.
So, okay. So, you witness that. You have a conversation. And King Blood says, we're going to be called Latin King.
He drew up a manifesto.
He drew a manifesto. Because remember, he didn't get permission at that time.
Yeah.
So, he freestyled the man. Can we say that?
He took what little bit he knew.
The little knowledge that he knew.
And added on to all of that.
Yes.
Okay.
And these were the guidelines and bylaws that we had to adhere if you wanted to be a true king. And in that concept as well, you know, there was some Latino pride, man. You had black pride. So where was our pride at? Who were we? We were ghosts. We didn't know who we were. And then he brought in the concept of Incas. And the Incas, if you do the history, they were warriors and Tainos, man.
But the Native American?
Yeah. So they're actually, they're considered Native Americans. But the Incas and the Tainos, the Siboneyes, you know, these were warriors, man. And when that mentality was attached, we was like, what? I want that. I want to be a part of something.
This is before the Bloods, right?
This is way before,
the Bloods. Bloods didn't even exist through that, man. They were nowhere near around that. If you had, again, as I reiterate, if you had them, there was one or two, and they were from L.A.,
right?
Not from New York City.
No, right. So, are you able to divulge or describe what was on the manifesto, or that's private?
You know that's private. You know that.
I try to tell my man to ask that. You know, I want him to ask that. I didn't want to look crazy, man. I didn't want to get shut down, man.
I'm gonna tell you two things that's part of it. I'm gonna tell you
that, man.
I'm gonna tell you actually three things that's part of it. That's a common law. That's common knowledge.
Fast is funny.
No extortion. No robbing. And no man-on-man action.
No rats.
And no rats.
So you just gave us 4.
He gave you. I gave you 3. He gave you 1.
Can't eat cheese, man.
Can't eat cheese. No man-on-man action, buddy. And I'm saying it the politically correct way.
We have to because
that's why no man-on-man action.
Thank you very much.
No robbery and no extortion.
No, but no robbery and no extortion to whom? Amongst each
anyone.
other? Wow.
To anyone. Blacks, whites, it's out.
So who painted the imagery? Because, you know, what you're telling me...
Because you got predators. Let me tell you something. Jail is broken down into different individuals.
Prey or predator.
You understand what I'm saying? Exactly. You got dudes that are predators. You got dudes that are real. Whatever, gangsters. You got the fake gangsters. You got the regular dudes, and then you got the victims. Now, it's all up to you which one you're going to be. You understand what I'm saying? The predator's there to, you got kicks, you got boots, you getting drugs, you getting whatever. He on you. Now, the real dude is just on him, whatever. You know what I'm saying? He just doing him.
Doing his bit.
Then you got the dudes that sell the fake wolf tickets.
Sell gangsters.
They're talking, then when it's time to get busy, it's a whole different story.
But what confused me is that when you hear about the Latin Kings, with those principles, you guys wouldn't really be in any trouble because those are principles.
Why not? If you come and rob one of my brothers for their chain, what you think I'm gonna do?
No, of course. No, what I'm saying is that the imagery that was painted was that, you know, you
But
guys
they're
were
coming.
bullets.
You're talking to people that came in 93 and up. July 93. That's when the Bloods formed in C73. We're talking pre. You got to understand the jail system at the time between 91, before 91, 92, 93 was predominantly Jamaican. The Latinos started getting picked up by the boatloads because of TNT. TNT used to come and raid a block and pick up 50 Puerto Ricans or 50 Dominicans, 50 whatever. The next day, they was calling Puerto Rico and bringing the people back out here to flood those blocks because they wasn't going to lose 100,000, 40,000, whatever they was making on those blocks. So now you got these dudes that don't speak a lick of English getting picked up, coming to prison, don't know how to say anything. So guess what's happening?
They're the victims.
They're the victims.
So now, Latin Kings started.
Mm-hmm.
Got the manifesto. Right? You saw it. What happens next now? What happened next? Like
They fought the first big war, which was in the summer. That summer in Collins against, I think the first war was against the Muslims, right?
It was against the Muslims.
What happened?
Wait, before that, hold on, my fault. Before that, you know, with the Bloods, they say that, you know, the join in, they had to bring someone home. Like, how did you guys bring people home, so to speak, for Latin Kings? How did you get people to join in, or what was the initiation process, or you know what I mean?
It wasn't for everyone.
But
No, it wasn't for everyone.
But wait, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Remember what the warden said that from his belief that all you had to do was be Latino to
right.
join the Latin Kings. They didn't really require. I don't
Who
know.
said
That's
that?
what-
Bailey said?
Bailey?
Yeah. Well, I want to ask them personally, because
But that's not necessarily true because us, we had the 5 Caribbean islands. You could be Jamaican and be Latin King. We got Jamaican Latin Kings, Haitian Latin Kings.
That's right.
So it was the Caribbean islands. People are forgetting that. See, y'all don't know that. You could Google the lessons. I'm not going to break down the lessons. I'm pretty sure you Google them, you'll find it, and you're going to see the 5-point star. And in that 5-point star, you got Haiti and Jamaica and the Caribbean islands on there. Besides Santo Domingo, Cuba, and Puerto Rico. That was the original foundation of the 5-point star in New York State. You had to be not from out here. You could be black Jamaican, you could be black Haitian, you could be black Cuban, Panamanian. It wasn't like that.
But you had to come under that 5-fold banner.
You had to come under that banner.
That's it though. It was no.
That's it.
There was no process, because with them they were saying you had to get food, and you had to, you know what I'm saying?
Listen, you people gonna say whatever they want to say.
No, I'm saying that's for.
What I'm saying, they have certain things. I can't speak for the Bloods.
They do their own thing.
They did what they
They
did.
did what they did, but as for us, you had to be thorough. You had to put in that work.
you couldn't just come in
and you
like
just
that.
can't just come in and get crowned. We would observe you. We
Yeah,
would
that's
observe
what I'm
you,
saying.
How you
What-
conduct
what's
yourself,
the-
how you carry yourself.
and then we would approach you just like they approached me. You know, I was neutral. I wasn't, with no gangs. I was just graffiti kid. I was down with this crew called CYA, Crazy Young Artists, out from Queens.
And I was beefing with his crew.
He was, but he was TA7. He was from Woodside. And my moniker was Meek, M-E-E-K. Everybody knows me with that name. I was just a graffiti kid, man. And when I came in, I wasn't having that. I'm from Brooklyn. You're not going to take my stuff. And if you're going to take it, you're going to get hurt. They saw that. And they approached me, and that's how we began recruiting individuals. But we wasn't out. We wasn't hungry or thirsty to bring everybody. And it wasn't about numbers with us. Anyone who was thorough, who was real, who's listening to this podcast will tell you that when we began, we were few. We started out with 10. We were what? And see, in the 3 building, we were what? 20? We were few, man. We wasn't a whole bunch. And then later on, after 93, 94.
93, 94 is when it took
They started coming in.
It took off, yeah, it took off.
It took off.
Tell us about the big war. You said that there was a big. What was the first war that you guys fought?
We had a very big war with the Muslims.
On where? Rikers?
No, in Collins. Collins Correctional Facility.
What year was this?
This is 1986.
86. Tell us what happened, if you can. Cause you look like you want to be. I know, Pastor, you cool, but what happened, Pastor? You can.
It was a war.
It was a war.
It was a war.
It was too much there.
There was too much. We went at it. We went at it in the yard, and things happened.
People got hurt.
Yeah, badly. And we moved on from that. And That
moved,
statement right there, that was the point of departure for the Latin Kings, because we let people know we're not playing that.
they moved,
wasn't having it.
They moved everybody that was there to different penitentiaries, and then they just kept going with it.
Oh, so you had a big war. People got hurt. Sent the message, and then they moved you guys
To Max's.
Yep,
to Max's.
to Max's.
Okay.
And when we got to the Max's, we really found out if we were really lions or what. If we were lions or snakes or sheep. And wherever we stood, we held our ground, man.
Earlier, okay. Now, in your opinion, right?
Mhm.
How did the blood start? Not saying you should know, but what did you guys witness? Did you witness? You must have.
It happened in C-73.
And you said July.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah, but you gotta understand, OG Mac was there. You had OG Mac. You had Deadeye there, Majesty. There was a couple of Bloods there. And they came and sat down at the table with Blaze and a couple of the individuals that were holding titles. Rest in peace, Blaze. I'm not going to name anybody else, but there was a couple of individuals there. And it was worked out that since a lot of brothers couldn't become kings, they were going to start the Bloods, and we were going to send them the brothers that wanted to become kings to hold them down. They were going to be people under the People Alliance with us. This was in 93. Now, as time goes on, they start growing. Now, mind you, there's a third entity that we're not talking about, which is the Nietas.
Right.
Okay? You know what I mean? And
They accepted anybody.
anybody, man on man action, anybody. It was they're
all
for the
about
prisoners.
growing.
They're about the prisoners.
Yeah, they're very political.
They're political. They accepted anybody. Now, the story is how everything really started. The war was over a Nieta juggled a pack of cigarettes to a Blood. Every day he kept pressing him. Yo, you got me on commissary, right? You got me on commissary, right? You got me on commissary. Every day. The Blood dude got annoyed. Commissary day came. Told him, you dead, son. You dead. Fuck out of here. You dead. Nieta goes to a king, tells him, yo, he robbed me. This is a true story. King goes over there, yo, you can't be robbing no, What? I ain't robbing, did it? The Nieta, shit pops off. The war starts behind that incident over a pack of cigarettes. That's a fact.
Anybody who's thorough, who's
Anybody
real,
that's real that was there will tell you the
will tell you
truth.
the truth, man.
That's how the war started. Wasn't our beef. They were cool with us.
So, okay. So, OG Mac, Blaze, we're not going to name the rest of the people. You know.
I mean, there was a couple of Bloods. AY was there. So many people there.
They sat down and
at a table.
At a
They
table.
sat down in the yard in the 3 building, and they came to the understanding that they were going to start the Bloods there.
Got it. So basically, was it getting permission? Why did they need to sit down?
I don't want to say it's permission because that sounds like somebody's over somebody. It was an agreement. You understand? Not to cause conflict.
Respect.
I'm going to go in that direction because it wasn't like anybody was trumping anybody.
Nah, back
we
then
was about
in the day,
uplifting.
That's right. Back then in the days, if there was a beef between two rival gangs, whoever the beef was, we would allow you to handle it. Give him a gun, handle your business. Nobody gets involved. And that's how the beef was handled.
But this is in the 3 building. You got to understand, this is the 3 building. Was spread out to other places and other. I can't speak about what was going on in C95. If somebody felt oppressed because you go there, it was San Juan. It was like 70% Spanish because that was the only building that gave out methadone.
And everybody was going there. The majority of the
Everybody
brothers
was
that
going
hooked
there.
up on that,
So
on that dope.
if you there, obviously you're gonna feel,
yeah,
yo, what's up with all this? You know what I mean? So a lot of beefs that people say was over drugs.
Drugs and cigarettes.
Spanish people was getting them, and a lot of people was using them and not paying. So you know what happens when you don't pay, right?
You getting poked.
So the drug story is true.
What drug story?
No, I'm just saying that a lot of people.
Yes, 100%. That happens to this day. To this day, up north, wherever you go, people be like, yo, I got you on commissary every day. I got you. My people's going to send you this. Yo, hit me off. And niggas take the bag and
when it's time to pay.
So the beef started over a pack of cigarettes, and Nieta started that.
That's a fact.
But why would? How can if
Because we're supposed to stand up for our people. So the king went over there. Remember, he told them that he got robbed. He told the king that he got robbed. So the king went over there to hold him down. Bam, bam. That's a fact.
holding Nieta down?
That's a fact. Because
And
he
it-
was Spanish.
And it caused the rift between
Caused
the
it
blood.
caused the war. It caused the war. It caused the war. That pack of cigarettes exploded because they moved everybody. They moved us from the 3 building. I went back to Queen's house. You had people that went to HDM, to the Beacon, bloods that went all over the place. And now that war started spreading throughout. And mind you, there's still beef with the 5%. You got a lot. You think the 5%ers disappeared? What did they become? Bloods. So a lot of people that had personal beefs and personal issues just moved into the next vehicle that was moving. And at the time, we was moving in one direction, and the blood started moving. But then y'all forgetting the Jamaicans are still involved in this. So now the beef is still going on between the Jamaicans and the 5%ers, the Bloods. That's the war.
So
When did the truth come out though? Like you obviously know what happened, why it started.
The truth? Because it was already too late. There was already bloodshed. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's already done. Yo,
It
you
was
hit
like
one.
wildfire.
That's it.
Spread like wildfire.
It didn't matter no more. It didn't matter. It got to the point it didn't matter because it already popped off. You already touched one of mine. There's no, oh, here, go hit. Nah, I'm not gonna hit my man. Fuck that. I'm gonna hit you, and that's how it just. But don't think that everybody was on some racial. I was in a lot of blood houses. I was with Shotquells and 5 North in the towers. We ain't had no issues. What they try to do to us in Suffolk Supreme? We going to trial. That I was going to trial. They kept trying to. The
tried to put
COs
us-
was the ones
they
doing
tried
all
to
the
put us
bullshit.
in the bullpens, and we
The
went
fuck
in.
out of here.
We
Bailey
went.
was talking on. He was talking out of his elbows.
Yeah,
he
man.
know what he was. He know what he was doing. A lot of them was doing that, and it was the police that was instigating. Yo, Poppy, that's over there. Yo, son, he hit one of your peoples over here. Oh, what? I got you. A lot of police was
a lot of
instigating
people were
that.
mad. A lot of people were mad at what Bailey was saying
Because
from
he
that
was
interview.
he was saying the politically correct thing. I don't expect him to tell on himself.
You know
He
his position.
police.
He police.
He
He's gotta say
police.
it.
But imagine this, right? And I'm gonna tell you this as an inmate or a prisoner, however you
never-
want to call
I
it.
can't tell
All
no
right.
more now.
I'm sitting down. I'm sitting down at the chair, right? And I'm getting visit, right? And how my girl come to visit me, and you got these COs trying to kick it to my girl, or you got the COs. Oh, yo, this other girl was here visiting them. They was doing bullshit, trying to kick it to your visitors, trying to do bullshit, trying to violate you, going through your pictures. Oh, look at this bitch. Would you fuck that bitch? Look at that. Oh,
her-
shit.
getting their phone
And
numbers
you
and
getting
everything.
searched like this. You getting searched. You butt naked in your drawers. All them there with the riot gear searching. You think you gonna say something? If you do, you getting beat. I saw the interview you did with you didn't do it, but Mel Cross touched on it. He did like a little thing. And he was 100% about Bailey. Straight cheese. You know there was a rumor that Bailey was blood.
Yeah, that's what you were saying.
He didn't bail out no Latinos out the Bing. Why not? Because we wasn't allowed to talk to the police without another brother present. So he didn't give us no rhythm.
We went talk to them.
So it's different. You had a lot of oppression, but it was the COs causing that oppression. How you gonna send me? I'm high classification all of a sudden out of nowhere. Why I'm getting moved? Where I'm getting moved to? Oh, because I got slick at the mouth with this CO. Oh, we going across the hall over there.
Put them in
So,
the blood house.
What's that about? Oh, there's no blood houses in my thing. The fuck out of here. Come on, man. They was doing the same thing to the Bloods. They was taking the Bloods and throwing them right in the cell with the Kings. Oh, you tough? All right, we're going to see how tough. And they were making bets amongst themselves. That's a fact. You could ask anybody that was there, they'll tell you the truth. Most of the oppression was the prisoners, was the prison guards. That was where the oppression was coming through. How we was getting 007 knives like that? How you was getting all these type of different
We were
things in
getting
there?
skeleton keys to get out of the cuffs, man.
Where was that coming from?
We didn't make that.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I don't know who to believe in these shows anymore, man.
You had
He-
the
he
Bloods.
spoke.
You had the Bloods telling the same stories.
Right.
So I'm telling you my story, and he's telling you his story. You don't have to believe me. But now when you're talking about the other opposition that we don't get along with, telling you the same story, somebody got to be telling the truth here.
That's facts.
You know what I mean? Somebody got to be telling the truth. What you think? A police gonna sit there and be like, tell on himself?
So do y'all remember Bailey? Do y'all remember seeing him?
Oh, Bailey went from regular CO, captain,
Captain,
Dep.
war-
He was in HDM in the 4 building. Come on,
Yeah.
but I wasn't there when he was a warden. But I've seen Bailey. He thought he was a gangster. He come through.
So he didn't treat everyone fairly. Is what you're saying?
I don't
That's
know.
what
I
he
mean,
was saying
on the outer appearance, he was basically on the outer appearance. But now, when you even hear him, I was bailing him out. You wasn't bailing out no
absolutely
Latinos.
none Latinos. That
You wasn't
wasn't
bailing out
happening.
no Latinos.
First of
you
all,
ain't get investigated for being a
first-
Latin king.
First of all, you're not gonna approach a Latino, especially a king, and you're gonna talk to a king. We wasn't playing that. If
You
you're
had to
gonna
have a
talk,
witness.
You had to have a witness right there. That was part of our guidelines. There's no talking with police unless you have another brother present, and he wasn't approaching us. So there is no way, it's impossible that he could have bailed any Latino out from the Bing.
Who do y'all remember? Who do y'all? Okay, so you saw
Who was bailing us out of the Bing?
Yeah. Sanchez. I heard the guy named Sanchez.
Well, you said it. Sanchez.
Yeah, I heard about him.
Sanchez was fair.
Wait, hold up. Hold on, Cano. I like you a lot, but
Sanchez was fair.
don't say that. Are you being biased or are you being honest? You can
So
say
Sanchez was fair with us. I said a lot right there. He was fair with us.
I heard it.
He was fair
So
with us.
Sanchez was fair with you guys.
He was 100% fair.
Do you think Sanchez was witnessing, or you don't? We can't speak for Sanchez. You know.
I can't speak for what
He could speak for himself.
Yeah, he could.
These guys are good.
He could definitely speak
They
for
good.
himself.
They good. So the story you said some of the stories that were being told were a little fabricated. You said that you understood some. You said some of them weren't. You know what?
I'm not saying fabricated because they're telling their point of view from what they saw. You understand?
And
What
that's
they
their
were going
reality.
through.
That's
so
their
that's
truth.
their reality. You understand what I'm saying? You know, you also got to understand they was in 1A, 1B. That's one housing unit. But what about 3 block? What about 5 block? You understand what I'm saying? There was other blocks where there was this Bing blocks where there was all the Kings. They were trying to keep all the Bloods over there together, and us over here separate to avoid the conflict. So they was in 1A. That's where they was at. They was over there in 1A. That was their house. Mm-hmm. There's no denying that for a time period. But remember, there was Kings there first, fighting with the Jamaicans, with Skelly, with Shower, GT, Trini. And then you had Kings in there, Capone, Misery, Poet, Hack Tech. Yeah, a lot of B.O. There's a lot of different people putting in work. Not
B.O.
Blood B.O.
The King B.O.
King B.O., yeah.
What was his name? Still stand for the same thing? What was
Bug
B.O.?
Out.
Yeah, it was Bug Out.
Bug Out. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now let's get let's get in.
Listen, you had real shooters on both sides. I'm gonna keep it 100 with
That's
you.
what I heard,
There were
yeah.
shooters on both sides. The only thing is the shooters were limited. Everybody thinks it was a whole there was certain shooters on that side. There was certain shooters on that side, and then you had everybody else to roll the pigtails. Everybody else to roll the wave. That was just trying to get in there. Yo, I'm a king. I need to get on the phone. Or I'm a blood. I need to get. A lot of people using what a lot of people fought for and put in work for.
So let's talk about the cutting.
Uh-huh.
There was a rumor. I don't know the story. You know what I mean? I did speak to Skelly while I was in Jamaica.
Uh-huh.
And the fact that somebody's grandmother got cut.
The rumor was it was his grandmother.
The rumor was it was his grandmother.
That was the rumor that went through everywhere for years.
And he said when I spoke to him, he said that it was a lady, like his grandmother, wasn't necessarily his grandmother.
That was visiting him.
Yes.
There was his visitor.
So what do you remember? Do you remember that story or what
I remember
happened?
that story.
Can you?
Me and you spoke about it.
Yeah. Can you talk about it now?
I mean, Scully had a lot of beef. I'm gonna keep it real. Scully had a lot of beef.
You remember Scully too, Pastor?
Scully had a lot of beef, and there was a brother that passed away. His name is Blaze, and he tried to get Scully. And in the process of him trying to get Scully, the lady got involved and got cut, scratched, whatever you want to call it, in the process of it. While they were tussling or whatever they was doing.
So she didn't really get cut though.
There's rumors that she got $150. Then there's rumors that she caught a little scratch. Mm-hmm. I really don't know. I wasn't on the floor when it happened. Mm-hmm. You understand? I'm just saying off what was told.
And also, then there was a guy. on here that said that he cut a guy named Blaze. How many
He
Blazes?
was incorrect about the name. Blaze was not a wild cowboy. Blaze is from 183rd. He used to be, what's the word? 183rd. He from the Bronx. The guy he talking about, I think he was talking about Gordo, the fat dude that used to be a wild cowboy.
Down with Pacualito and them?
Yeah, that's who I think he was talking about. He said he cut a wild cowboy that was a king in the rig court. It wasn't Blaze, Little Blaze. It wasn't Short Blaze. That was the Prince Crown of Rikers Island at the time. It wasn't him.
So Blaze was the Prince Crown of
Yeah.
Rikers Island.
Yes.
What was your position? Because when I watched the HBO documentary, I watched a clip. You said that you got a high rank in the Latin Kings.
I was the first HOS of the state of New York, and then I rose up the rank, the first head of security in the state of New York. From then I went to 5th Supreme Crown, 3rd Supreme Crown, became the 2nd Supreme Crown, and I was in conjunction with when Blood had given Super the Inca status. I was close with I became the 1st Supreme Crown.
Let me ask you a question. What, do you remember any? Cause I know you have to be careful what you say. You know what you're doing now. How you doing great things for the community. Salute. You know, because I don't want to. This is stories in the past. I don't want to. These stories are not present or what's going on now. You know what I mean? These. Do you remember any situation that you've been involved in, personally, or that you witnessed personally, that happened on the island? Because a lot of things was talked about on the show. You know what I mean? A lot of people talk about things, you know, and you guys, I like how you guys talk, but I wouldn't be me if I didn't give you guys
Brother,
you know.
I'm one of the original 10. I became the head of security, the first head of security in the state of New York, and rose up the ranks. That in and of itself speaks volumes. There's nothing else to be said.
Respect. Did you get along with any Bloods though? That was
Absolutely. My little brother was Blood. Absolutely, I got along with a lot of Bloods. They know that. We were cool. We were cool up north. We were cool in Rikers Island. But, you know, once you get in Rikers Island, there's a line. Real men respect real men. It's not about, you know, tit for tat, you this, you know, that's
It's a G code. It was a G code.
It's a G code, man. And you can't violate that code. And I was cool with Bloods. I was cool with Crips. I was cool with, you know, it wasn't about no racial stuff, man.
I have a question real quick then, and never, you know, G. We always hear about the Nietas, right? But do anybody know how they started?
Yeah, Puerto Rico.
Carlos
It was
La Sombra,
Carlos La
right?
Sombra started it.
Yeah, Carlos La Sombra started it.
He stopped the abuse. There was a lot of rapes and stuff going on in Puerto Rico. Robberies there was another gang called the Insects. So the Insects was going around robbing, raping, stealing, doing whatever. So he started a movement to protect the inmate, and that's how their movement started. Was in Puerto
27,
Rico.
right? The Insectos.
The Insectos was the one that was raping and doing all that, and then he started the Nietas
Yep.
What does that mean?
in prison.
Insects.
No, I'm saying
Nieta?
Nieta, yeah.
There's a lot of different things.
We don't know. They call themselves the Asociación. We're not too privy about that.
Yeah,
You're going to have to reach out to the Nietas and have them come up here and tell
break
their
it down.
story.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep it real. There's so many different of what it means.
What's
There's
the
no exact word.
Okay.
Like for us, like a nieta is like your god,
Granddaughter.
your granddaughter. Yeah, your granddaughter, your grandkid.
Chill out, man.
I'm dead serious.
Stop it, man.
Google it.
No, it's
Google
true.
it.
The word nieta in Spanish means granddaughter.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know.
I don't know their breakdown
the
or if it's
terminology of
if it's
their name.
If it's an acronym to
yeah,
something,
I don't
Yes.
know that.
got it.
You'll have to invite some of them and come up and let them tell their story.
Right.
Were they tough in jail?
You had a lot. You had a few that was gangsters.
They were putting that work in.
Bailey told me it was a small amount of them.
Small amount of what?
Nietas. He said
Hell
No,
no.
absolutely not.
You out of your
Are
mind.
you crazy?
There was more nietas than Bloods, Kings, and 5%ers put together.
You had nietas from all nationalities, man.
The whole yard was Nieta at one point.
Yeah,
Half the
man.
yard. No, hell no. The Nietas was the deepest because they took anything. They took white, black, Chinese, man-on-man action. You know, they took whatever. It was. They remember their thing is about protecting the inmate. Their thing is
Protecting
a
the
prisoner.
rights of the prisoner.
The prisoner. That's what they
their
do.
main key.
So there was even times that them, I don't know if they was legit or not, but they was pushing the applications in people's cells to be part of them. That's a fact.
They are an association.
We're a
in
nation.
Puerto Rican.
It's the difference. We're a nation. They're an association.
Explain the difference of nation and association.
Association is an associate. We're a nation. We have laws that bind us. We have structures.
The
We're
association
organized.
is like a membership.
It's a membership like AAA. Like you part of triple. No, I'm just trying to. I'm just being. I know it sounds funny the way I said it. I didn't mean it like that, but I'm saying it's like a membership to a group. That's what it is. They're an associate. It's different.
What was the worst thing? What was, because we talked about earlier the war in '86. And let me say this. I definitely want to salute you guys based off how you answer questions. This is why I kind of understand what Bailey was saying. I see that you guys have some sort of structure, some sort of principles. What
We still stand by them to this day.
Understood.
Well, a man's supposed to stand by the principles. What does your parents teach you when you're a kid? Not to steal, not to lie, not to rob, to be united with your family, to love your family. That's the same thing any man's supposed to teach their kid. That's what we teach our brothers.
But do you guys condemn any of the kings that might have did things that they weren't supposed to do? Because now you can't
Like
say
what?
every king followed the rules.
No, there wasn't. There was some that didn't follow the rules. That's why either they got kicked out the V,
We stripped them.
or they chose to leave the V because they couldn't abide by the rules we had. You got to understand, extortion is out. A lot of these dudes wanted that bag. So if they seen somebody, they was extorting them. We wasn't allowing that. Didn't matter what color you was. You wasn't extorting a black guy. You wasn't extorting. We were trying to stop that whole movement.
But we didn't ask you, how did you join King? Do you remember how you joined
I
it?
don't know. Of course I do. When I came through in 92, I was in reception. So I was in reception. I was there with a god body, Love. He's half Puerto Rican, half black. And another Puerto Rican kid from Knickerbocker and Troutman. His name is Quick. So we was in there. When I got arrested with my chain. I had a chain with a Santa Barbara.
What is that?
It's a religious chain.
Got it.
So I got arrested with it. So when I got there, a Spanish dude, they got the suicide aides that come over and watch you to make sure you don't hang up. Usually they're anywhere from 72 hours to a week. It's reception. So the Spanish dude comes over, he sees the chain, he's like, yo, Papa, you're going to have problems. You should let me hold the chain till your visit come and send it home. Man, get the fuck up out of here, bro. Whatever. So, make a long story short, later on that night, somebody else comes, 2 black kids come, and they try to press me for my chain. And Love knocked one of them out. I got it on with the other dude. We shot the fair one, whatever. They move us up to the 5th floor. When we get to the 5th floor, the Jamaicans got the house on smash. So Love goes to step to the phone. There was some older 5%er there. He from Queens. I don't remember. Suppose he was part of the Supreme team, but back then everybody was claiming to be part of the team. I think his name was JC, if I'm not mistaken. But so he come back and he's like, yo, these Jamaican dudes ain't giving us no, they're not gonna give us no play on this phone. All right, whatever. They lock us in, whatever. So the next day, we back there figuring out what we're gonna do. You know what I'm saying, to get on his phone. Next thing you know, we hear a big commotion in the front. It was like right after lunch. There's a big commotion. And we see a bunch of beads all over the floor. So Love come, and he like, yo, we got to move now. All right, whatever. So we start popping off on the Jamaican dudes, defending the Spanish kid that's getting it on with them. Make a long story short, kid turned out to be the first crown of the jail, trying to fight to get on the phone. So they moved all the Jamaicans out the house. CO left us there, told us don't be on the same bullshit. Next thing you know, I was a king.
Brought him home.
That's a true story.
Yo, Pastor, I'm watching you, man. You catching flashbacks. I'm looking in your eyes, man.
Nah,
It's a lot of passion,
we're
man.
trying to keep it political. That's what it was. But the big beefs was the phone.
So,
So how'd you two meet?
Yeah.
First time.
First, we were brothers. Where we met? Suffolk?
Yeah, Suffolk Supreme Court.
Suffolk Supreme Court. He was going to trial. I was going to trial. Remember, we was fighting our cases he was in there 5 years. I was in there 3 and change. So we was always going to court. Suffolk Supreme.
We always coincidentally had the same dates at the same time.
And we were both, he was CMC and I was high classification.
are there any, and I know, because actually you guys question is like, you guys act like you guys are in some sort of interrogation. You guys watch what you say. Are there any people that represent Kings that have been kicked out the V, or you wouldn't say that? Like, that's
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, well.
Talking about Pete Magoo?
Well, if you know what I'm talking about, I don't have to elaborate.
I mean, listen, I can't tell his story. I could just tell you that he didn't abide by the rules. And that's basically it.
And he turned blood.
He turned blood later on. He ain't turned blood right away.
Do you remember when he was a king?
Yeah, I remember when he was a king.
What type of guy was he? Was he put in pain?
He's a jail dude, bro. He's a jail dude, bro. Magoo wasn't a slouch. I'm not gonna take nothing from no man. You know what I'm saying? He did what he do. You know what I mean? But he couldn't abide by the rules. So
But what was it like the Bloods where what's his name?
You gotta eat food.
OG, huh?
You gotta eat food.
No. OG Mac, where it's like everybody responded because the Bloods. I heard the Bloods decided that they didn't want to follow one.
That I can't tell you.
No, that's what I'm saying. But
at
like
the time,
was King Blood the guy that made the decisions for everybody? If you understand what I'm saying.
Only when it was a high ranking things
member.
Local, then you have the local chapters or whatever that would make the
and
decision.
you deal with the first crime.
Or you dealt with, but touching another brother was like a no. That's like you can't touch it without permission. You just can't take
You're
that.
not allowed to attack another king.
Nah, not without proper authorization. Nah.
There's a chain of command that you have to go.
You can't do that.
So if you have a problem, what did they suggest
brothers,
you do?
brothers have, brothers do have problems. There's any family has problems, but at that time, if you put your hands on a brother, there's consequences for that. Their blood is sacred, so you can't just touch a brother just like that. We the Spanish mob. That's what it is. You can't just touch it. You can't. It's sacred. I can't tell you Magoo's story. Only Magoo could tell you his story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to talk about nothing and make myself out to be, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just being as honest and real. I'm not saying I ain't put in, but I'm not here to glorify that either. I got kids that's going to be watching this also. So I'm not here to be like, do what I was doing. Nah. It was a time period that I stood up for what I believed in. You know what I mean? I didn't have problems. I'm going to keep it real. When I went through, I didn't have problems like that. I'll show you pictures with my chain on when they were still taking pictures in Rikers Island. You understand what I'm saying? It wasn't really me. It was more, you had all these dudes coming in, didn't speak English. Yo, papi, mira, me están haciendo esto. Oh, da, da, da. So I got to the point, bro, that I was just like, I got tired of hearing this shit all day. And I'm only seeing my people getting picked on. And now I'm like the only communication they got because I speak Spanish and English. So who they coming to all day with the thing? Yo, boom, boom, boom. So it got to that point that I was like, yo, fam, you gonna let this? Oh, nah, you not. So I had to represent. And that's really what the beef was about.
So, okay, and you guys tried your best to just.
We come from a different era.
You got to understand. Look, you got dudes that, like I told you, they're predators. They come in. You got kicks. I don't need nothing, bro. I ain't gonna take nothing. That's not my stilo. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I got my fam in New York. If not, one way or the other, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna hustle. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. But I'm not that type of dude to look at you and be like, yo, I want that. I'm gonna take that from son. That wasn't my thing in jail. You understand what I'm saying? I'm too worried about getting home to my family. I'm too worried about making sure my son, somebody getting some bread for my son, or somebody going to see my moms. I'm not worried about none of that. That shit is irrelevant to me. You know what I'm saying? As long as I got phone time and I'm getting on that jack, I don't give a fuck about the TV. I don't give a fuck about Spanish channel. I don't give a fuck. But you gonna let me talk on prime time. I'm getting on that horn on prime time. After 8, I'm getting on that horn. And
that's how we met.
That's what it was.
We were fighting for our lives, man. We didn't have time for pettiness like that.
Fuck about that
your
shit.
lives against the system.
We got
The system. I'm being oppressed by the system.
Got it.
They trying to put our lights on, man. They you know, we becoming an endangered, black and brown is becoming an endangered species, man, right now, man. And you know, and back then we didn't have the mindset or the wisdom, man, to see the bigger picture that was happening. You got 2.3 million black and brown individuals, brothers and sisters inside them human warehouses, man. You got 1.3 million African Americans and Latinos under some type of supervision and parole. You got 1.6 million children with a parent in prison. They trying to kill us, man. And we inside, you think we got time to fight for a damn sneaker that
wasn't us.
It wasn't us,
It
man.
wasn't about what we was about. You know what I'm saying?
So, and you know, we have to wrap it up. Is it before we get to ask you guys, is there anything you're missing?
We missing a lot, but
For real still?
there's a lot of things that a lot of people.
It's history.
You gotta understand. Like, look, a lot of people talk about, oh, we had beef with blacks. How was I in the same house with half the time? I was in 5 North with Shaquell. He was an OG. How many times me and you was in the pen with Deadeye?
We were probably the only 2 Latinos with Deadeye and everybody inside the bullpen.
Scully was in the pens with us, going to Suffering Supreme.
We
shower.
were eating bologna sandwiches.
Remember, we in Suffering Supreme. What is the domination in Queens at the time? In Queens House, and all the cases being caught in Queens, majority black.
Right.
Let's be for real. Suffering Supreme was, you go to Queens House, it's like 80% black, like 5% white, and then the rest is a little bit few Latinos. But at that time, you remember, we talking the end of the crack era, right? When everybody was getting swept up, when 91, 92, blocks was getting picked up in Jamaica, Queens on South Road.
You have
and
vans full
everything.
of dudes,
Come
man.
on, Queensbridge, Storia Projects, Woodside Projects. You had this shit, Fall Rockaway alone that shit was crazy. So how was we oppressing blacks? No, we was oppressing predators. We was oppressing those that came in and was like, yo, what's up with them kicks? What's up with this? Nah, you ain't getting that over here. It wasn't popping. You know what I'm saying? Why you always coming at Poppy? Why you ain't taking your man's sneakers? That's how it started becoming. You understand what I'm saying? Because y'all always want to pick on the dude that don't speak no English. He can't stand up for himself. I'm going to stand up for him. And that's how we all started uniting.
Either we stand
You
up for
understand
them
what I'm
or
saying?
we die.
So now you got to understand the same predator mentality that was going on with the 5%ers. It just all let up. You got certain dudes that just was part of it. Certain dudes was racist off the rip. They just wanted war. Germans. And then you had certain dudes on my side. Yo, Moreno, So it goes back and forth. You know what I'm saying? And then you got the police. Spanish cops. Yo, watch my man tear your man's head off. Watch my man's, let's see. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. You got to see the reality of it.
And the reality is that you guys, it wasn't like a Spanish and black thing like that is portrayed.
It started it was turning into that, but that's not really what it was. It became that afterwards. Like I was telling you, like certain housing units and certain jails, that shit wasn't rocking like that. You understand? Look at the corruption that was going on in Rikers. You know what I'm saying? You had dudes, imagine this, you fighting your case. I'm gonna tell you a story about this kid named Stokes before we wrap this up. He's a black kid from Brooklyn, right?
What's his name?
Stokes. Right? He was locked up. His girl used to come visit him. You remember Stokes that he was in CMC?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, CEO, she stopped coming to see him. What the fuck going on? He keep trying.
Everybody knows the story.
So, make a long story short, CEO bagged his girl on the visit. So he already had heard something, so finally she come to visit him. She come visit him. He takes her earring, rips her earring off and blasts her on a visit. His girl. Right? Son gets moved to CMC in Queens House. I'm right across from CMC. I'm in a high classification. I'm playing cards. Something's cool ass dude. All of a sudden you hear 3 shots. Bah, bah, bah. Inside Queens House. Kendu gets shot. Kendu from Queens. Stokes gets shot 3 times. and another dude gets shot 3 times. Who brought the gun in? Where the fuck the gun came in from? Mind you, every jail he was going to, he was getting beat up by police. Every single jail, because he ended up getting at the police too, at the CO. Every jail he went to, so you're going to tell me that's not corruption?
Did he die?
Is the code of blue? Nah, he got they slayed him.
Yeah, he's got life.
He got slayed.
Yeah,
He was trying to sue them and all that because, they fucked him up bad. How the fuck you get a gun into Queen's house?
Yeah, he ain't gonna see the light of day again.
You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of corruption. You could ask Bailey about that story too. You know what I'm saying? Come on, bro. Imagine you fighting for your life. You fighting for your life. You got to fight for your clothes. You got to fight to get on the phone. And then you got to deal with getting put in a box. Imagine being in this room for a year straight. You think you're going to come out of this normal? You know what I'm saying? Come on. That shit is crazy what they was doing to some people in there. 2 years, 3 years in the box. That's why half the dudes that come out is like, come on. You know what I'm saying? Even after 20 years, after 10 years, you still got that shit is crazy. That shit drives you up the fucking wall. The shit they do to certain people. You got roaches, that's your friends in there, all type of shit. You talking to the cell, thinking that somebody's there. That shit drives you nuts.
So how do you guys feel that you out now? Like, did you guys feel as affected as other people? Or?
I really didn't do as much time as a lot of them did, to be honest with you. I came home and I caught a violation. I ended up back on the island. 96, 97, I came home. I've been home ever since, bro. I've been home since 97, so, you know what I mean?
When you first came home, did you feel like affected by...
Of course I did. Of course I did. You know what I'm saying? One day I flipped out on my sister when she ain't knock on the table. You know what I'm saying? When she was getting up. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to knock on the table. You're not supposed to talk while you eating up north and stuff. So you knock on the table, letting know you getting up. They knock twice and they acknowledge that you getting up so you can watch you ain't talking over people's food. And I spazzed out one time on my sister. You get institutionalized with certain things. You know what I'm saying? Bro, you get used to carrying razors, bro. You start getting used to it. You already got your shit in the suitcase ready just in case you got to...
You still washing your underwear in the shower. It's taking a shower with your
that took me a long time to get out of that. Even at home. Wife be like, why your drawers all in the shower? You think it's a chick's house when she washing my drawers being... Because I'm just...
I did 20 straight, man, and you still feel the effects of it, man, you know, and...
Imagine you going, there was no cell phones. You had to carry a fucking... the block shits, and you come home, everybody on the cell phone. I was going in, it was beepers.
Yeah, man. We had beepers, Motorola's with the phone with the plastic antennas, big long phones. I mean, it's a cultural shock, man. And you know, you still don't get
like I said, a lot of the stories that were told, there was one-sided from their purview. Maybe that's how they was living, bro. I wasn't a Bing monster, bro. I'm going to keep it real. I wasn't a Bing monster, bro. I wasn't a Bing monster. Bing monster's a dude that loved living in the Bing.
They love
the Bing. They love the Bing. They come out, they want to hit something so they could go right back where they was at. Because they're more comfortable there. That's where they at. Some dudes is just, that's how it is. You understand what I'm saying? It's just how it is. A lot of dudes was Bing monsters. You know what I'm saying? It's just the reality of it. You know what I'm saying? But all that oppression and all that, it wasn't even like that. You could ask the COs. Just like you had Bailey, get a couple more to tell you if that's how it was. You know what I'm saying?
But let me ask, you guys spent the whole night asking us questions. Would you allow us to ask you a question? You allow me to ask you a question? What is the purpose of these podcasts? What is your purpose? What is your goal in putting these stories out there, man?
I mean, you know, it's to give the people the content that they want. You know, when we first started about 3 years ago, we wanted to do something a little different. So, you know, we use both our personalities to try to put something together for some content. You know, he's the wild and crazy one. I'm the cool and, you know, calm one. You know, kind of like night and day. You know what I mean? So we you know, and him, he do like a lot of pranks online. So we try to use that image with my image on the show and interview guests, celebrities. But now the last few shows has been like, you know, the fans are really interested in, you know, the OG stories and the war stories. And
I know they're not gonna be too happy with this one. They was expecting us being there. Oh, I cut this dude. I did this. I did that.
But they definitely they love to hear it because
I mean, I'm gonna be
in the
real.
Comments they saying that they want to hear the you know.
I'm not gonna be here and glorify. Yo, I got hit up. I hit up dudes. I got hit up with a Glock in there. Glock is a plastic fiberglass gun. I got hit. I got cut here. We've all been through war stories, but that doesn't make them. They were soldiers. I was a soldier. At the end of the day, we was at war. We popped it off.
Well, let me say this. you know, from my perspective, you know, with the viral success that I have and the following, you know, my main focus was to maintain that with the videos. You know, we had the podcast, and as far as this message, you know, I have to salute, you know, Bimmy, and I have to salute Soul B, because, you know, he helped us start a trend that.
I was locked up with Bimmy, you know that, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Queens House, young boy. When he was dating, I think, Bobby Brown's sister.
Yeah,
he got
yeah,
a
yeah.
package. I remember that shit because he was on the 5th floor. He got a package full of Bobby Brown, all type of prerogative stuff. He started giving everybody shirts and everything because he got bailed out of there.
he started it, and then, you know, like I said, B.O., Soul B, you know, and it just took on a life of its own. Now, if you ask me what's my goal and what's my message, it's not to have the young people glorify it, because that's not what I'm trying to do.
Right.
Because every OG, besides some of them, but even the ones that want to come on, they say that, you know, I don't mind telling my story, but I want to tell what I'm doing now as far as telling the youths not to go my path. And that's the route that I'm on as well.
That's what
Do
we
you
trying
see
to
this
keep
young man that's right here?
Him, yes.
This is my nephew. For years, my nephew has been asking me, is it true about what you said? Is it true what people are saying in the street, that you did this, you did that? And I brought him on the show here, not only for him to understand the history of where we came from, but to understand and let him know that we don't glorify that lifestyle. You know, if we can turn back the hands of time and change and undo these things, we would, without any hesitation whatsoever. The sad part is, because I've been following you guys for a while. I've been looking, I've been quiet, and by happenstance, my brother Cano reaches out to me, and I'm like, we haven't seen each other in 30 years.
Oh wow.
Last time I seen him, I told you, he was in the cell when he was like, take that.
That was the last time him and I saw each other. Wow. So when he reached out,
Face to face. That's the last time we saw each other. It was back then.
when he reached out and he said, yo, Ben, he said, these brothers are doing this brother, you know, and we think that, you know, our brothers think that, you know, we would be adequate to tell our story because of who we are and our reputation, because we've never folded. So the brothers said, all right, cool. And I said, all right, cool, I'll go up there. But as I'm watching the podcast, it saddened me to see that, to read the comments and what people say glorifying this stuff. It's like, to be a true gangster is the man who gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning and put the food on the plate and does whatever he has to do. Anybody can pick up a knife and hit a dude, cut some dude, or you know, shoot. But it takes a real gangster to remove yourself from that lifestyle and
Get up every day.
and get up every day and raise up your family. And that's the type of impression I'm trying to give him. You know, I'm a pastor today. I love what I do. And I have an unequivocal, unmovable, and unshakable passion to be a part of this human repair business, man. Because I don't want another youth, black, brown, yellow, red, white, I don't want them to endure what we've endured. And I have a platform in which is my church. I'm involved in my community. I'm putting that work in by the grace of God. And if I would have known what I know today, I would have never been a part of that. And we didn't come up here, and I believe I can speak on with my brother is in agreement. We didn't come here to glorify that.
I didn't take it. I don't take that.
I mean, I don't regret nothing I've done. Like I said, it's just if I could change certain things, I would definitely change certain things. But at the end of the day, I feel I became a king because I was here for my people, and that's what I was, and that's what I fought for. You know what I'm saying? To stop the oppression and stop the abuse. It wasn't. We ain't. How are we oppressing people? You understand what I'm saying? If I'm oppressing you, I'm robbing you. How am I oppressing you? What's the word oppression?
Did that bother you a little bit?
It did bother me a lot.
It bothered both of us.
A lot.
Because it wasn't true.
That word oppression. You know who oppressed us? Police oppressed us. That's who oppressed us all as a whole.
Because a lot of people and even.
But then, like I said, I saw Killer Cav's interview. You know what I'm saying? We also had mutual people that we were cool with, like rest in peace, Mike Beck, Bill Black. So I'm not gonna get here and talk bad about him or downgrade him. He put it in, salute. You know what I'm saying? Like I salute everybody. If you was a real dude, It doesn't matter what side you was on. I'll give you your props.
you
Because we
give
had a
the
G
props,
code.
man.
As long as you respect me, I'm gonna respect you. Is the minute that you try to take something mine or try to that's now is when we cross. What they said their story. You understand what I'm saying? Like I told you, I'm telling you our version. There was no oppression.
And that's the reason why you guys are here. That answer your
Yeah,
question.
it kind of
That's
bothered
the
me. It
reason
really
why,
bothered me when I got little
because,
kids and I got
you know.
the young blah blah blah. I'm like, what?
Because
It bothered me, bro, because that wasn't a fact. Like us oppressing them because of the color of their skin, that wasn't a fact.
G-Money and I can tell you, that we've been getting reached out of people saying that that's not true. It looked like it bothered, a lot of Kings or Spanish because they felt that
we were the underdogs at the time.
The imagery was painted that you guys were. It's just a lot of feedback that stated that. We weren't there. We're hearing the stories and we're understanding.
Right.
Some people tell it differently from others. More animated. Some people are more serious. Some people are more articulate. It's just different.
Right.
Thing is, a lot of people, even Bailey, they reached out to us like, man, that's not true, Flip.
I mean, like I
Spanish
said,
brothers,
Bailey kept his very politically. He kept it, but he wasn't. He was also not being, which I don't blame him. He police. He's not supposed to tell on himself. That's why I'm not here telling you all these war stories. Oh, I did this, I did that. At the end of the day, pictures speak louder than words. I got pictures on Rikers Island with my beads on, with my jewelry on, with everything. So I don't gotta fake the funk for nobody. You go on my IG, you see the pictures. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't even about faking the funk. I'm not trying to front that. Oh, I'm gangster.
Nobody. Not only that. In addition to what Cano said, I mean, there's nobody that can point the fingers on us and say, "Yo, that dude did this. That dude."
Who I oppressed?
Nah, nobody.
Who I robbed?
Nobody. Nobody. I can guarantee you that.
And I was structure. And we was kicking brothers out the whip that was doing that stuff. If you was robbing, if you was extorting, if you was doing, you was getting kicked out the V. And it wasn't very nice how you was getting kicked out the V. Because you were oppressing our people. We trying to stop the oppression. Right. You understand what I'm saying? That was really the purpose of what we were.
King,
so let's switch. I want to switch gears a little bit.
Yeah, hold on. Before you switch gears, because we have to wrap it up, I have one more question real quick. King Blood, right? He has sentenced to life, right?
He's buried, man. He's
never coming home. He can't even speak on the phone.
He can't even get visits.
I heard he has to speak to the Unabomber and somebody else. That's what they said. I don't know if that's
true. I think his classification got moved around a little bit now, but he didn't have, his sentence was the worst sentence. I think the only other person that got a sentence like his was Jeff Fort out of Chicago. I think that's the only other person. Not even terrorists was getting those sentences.
Not even Gotti was getting that.
Yeah, not even the terrorists from the World Trade Center got sentences like no communication with the outside world, no phone, no visits, no packages. I mean, in the box. How sane can he be?
But the reason why they said that he was.
I know exactly why.
Out kites and would that wouldn't be considered a good thing.
But all right, so who let those kites go out? All those murders that happened. Let's be real. We're gonna talk about that, right? Okay. All those people that got supposedly murdered and all this stuff that happened, which they did allegedly. People that got murdered. You think the government couldn't stop that? All our letters coming out of, you can't even seal an envelope coming out of Attica or coming out of all the jails. They monitor all the jails. And the jail was photocopying every letter going out. That used that on his trial. So if you're photocopying every letter, you don't think it would have been better to save all those people's lives than let those things go down to bury him alive? What's more important here? So they kind of let him hang himself. And you let those innocent people or whoever it was get killed.
Your mail is monitored on a daily basis.
Everything's monitored in there.
On a daily basis.
So they could have stopped it if they wanted to, but they wanted him. The first one that went out, they could have stopped it. Why didn't they stop it? If supposedly he was doing all this. Allegedly, right? He was allegedly doing all these kites. Why y'all ain't stop him? That's a question, right?
That's something to think about now. Yeah, I didn't look at it like that.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. They do things to build cases. They'd rather get a case and let other people. They could have stopped him from. They could have gave him a conspiracy charge. He would have been home. He conspired to send a letter to do this. Okay, he fucked up. Why y'all ain't stop it? because you wanted those murders, because you wanted a career. A lot of people built their career on his case. Even though, let's say he did do what he did, you think that's a humane sentence to get 100 and something years, 40 years in the box with no communication? You might as well put a bullet and shoot me in the head. You don't think he probably would have wanted that? Or anybody that gets put in a box for 40 years with no phone calls, no visits, no letters? You think that's something that you do to a human being? Even though he got a crime, he committed a crime, okay. You in jail. But you in jail, inside the jail, buried under the jail. That's crazy. Why? Because we were organized. He was organized. His influence, look, I visited brothers in Ecuador. I visited brothers in Spain, Dominican Republic, Chile, Peru, Colombia. His teachings went around the world. There's kings in every country, bruh. Every country you could imagine, even in Jamaica, Haiti. That's why they stopped him. He was strong. Blood was strong. And he is considered black. You know that, right? You ever seen pictures of him?
I saw a picture of him.
He's darker than you. Cuban. Panamanian brother, VI. That they were talking about the other day, the Panamanian brother that was putting in work. That's VI. He was stabbing people with a pork chop bone. Dark.
VI. Darker than blackberry juice, man.
Bro, it's not about color, bro. It's about culture. That's really the best thing. It was a war against culture.
I never looked at it like that.
It wasn't a racial thing. Look at me. I'm white as shit. You confused. You see me in the street, you look at the Irish dude. Or Italian or whatever. I hear that every single day. Then you got this brother. Then you got other brothers outside. You go outside. We come in all shapes and forms, every color. Same as the Bloods do now. Bloods, the same thing now. They got white, they got black, they got everything now. So it wasn't about oppression. It really wasn't about oppression. Maybe the words that was used, you know what I'm saying? We was all oppressed by the police. You know what I'm saying? We was all oppressed. You know what I mean? Those games, you coming off the visit, they trying to kick it to your girl. All those, they psychological, looking at your pictures, reading your mail. Oh, look at this. Oh, damn, you used to fuck that? Oh. You imagine that? Telling a man that about his wife or something? You got to understand the psychological games that was being played. Oh, yeah, look, put him in the cell with that dude. Let's see who wins. Come on, bro. But you the police. And then when they don't get what they want, they be like, you think I'm worried about him when I'm facing trial out there, facing life, going right there in court? I'm in my suit. Deadeye was there. Who else was there with us? Scully was there. At one point in the other cell, he's sleeping on the bench. I'm sleeping over there. Bro, everybody was going to trial. Ain't nobody worried about that bullshit.
Lives, man. We were fighting against the system.
That shit would pop off when dudes was on it. When dudes would come in, you doing some bullshit. Yeah, there was certain dudes that come in on some bullshit. Of course. But there was certain dudes, bro. As long as everybody was going by the program, everything was smooth. It's just, we wasn't allowing it, bro. I'm going to be real. We wasn't allowing it, bro. You wasn't robbing none of my peoples. That robbery shit, that sunning shit, that chumping shit, that shit wasn't going down. That's all it was. It was nothing about color. I don't discriminate. I'm not going to use their terminology, but I ain't going to, whoever got it, got it. That's what it was. You know what I'm saying? You violate, you get the consequences. Wasn't about that.
We don't need to prove anything, man.
Yeah.
We don't need to, it's too late in the game to be giving grown folk explanations. The thorough dudes, the real brothers, man. They know what it was about. They know who's who.
So real quick, Pastor, take us through the process of you becoming a pastor. When you first, the whole transformation.
It was a very difficult transition because, given the lifestyle that I had, the cultural mindset that was there at that time. And I remember there was a chaplain who made a statement on the pulpit one time, and he said, "I don't care if you guys go to the box. If you guys go to the box, my paycheck is not worthy of me visiting you." And that did something to me, man. Here is a person who's supposed to be in the process of healing, and you got like 300 to 400 broken men, broken men, dealing with all types of life's trauma. So I said, man, there has to be a better way. So there was a time where they was going to kill this Panamanian pastor in Shawanga Correctional Facility. They had accused him of molesting a 7 or 8 year old girl, and that's like a cardinal sin. It's unforgivable in prison. And the brothers from the church, they came in and asked me. He said, "Listen, man, if there's anybody that can help us, it's Benny." So they told me the story. I had my ears to the street, and I found out that he had broken up with his girl, and his girl was so disgruntled and angry that she forced the baby to accuse him of molesting her.
Don't point at me.
I'm sorry. No, not him. So later on, when she reached 18 or 19 years old, if I remember correctly, she recanted. So when they began talking to me about Christ and the plan of salvation, and the way that they broke it down, connected it to the social justice issues that was occurring, I said, man. And it awakened something in me. I became hungry, man. I became like a sponge, and I began to absorb everything. And I said, all this time, here I am thinking that I got to do this when this is my real purpose, man. And I couldn't fight against God. You fight against God, you're going to lose every time. And I surrendered my heart to Christ, man, and I never turned back. I mean, the walk is not easy. Oftentimes it's lonely. It gets lonely because you have very few friends, and But if God gave me the opportunity gave me the second chance, I was supposed to die in prison, man. I was dead, and here I am alive. I mean, I owe everything to God and owe everything to His people, and here I am giving back to the community, man. You said you weren't looking for me the other day in my church. You would have came. I would have fed you. That's what I do.
You got to invite G Money, because G Money be doing that, so you got to invite him.
Our church is definitely open for you guys, and please come through.
I want to say that it was a beautiful thing. I went in front of there, and then the sign that I read, there was a sign on the door facing the church to the left. Saying that you guys feed families on the weekends or something.
Yeah, we
I thought that
Tuesdays.
That was dope.
Tuesdays we feed we have the privilege of feeding at least 900 families. That's on a Tuesday alone. Oh my gosh. We have a program that we offer free breakfast, free lunch for children under 18 years old. For those who are not able or have the luxury of affording that. I also work with the mental health, substance abuse, and reentry population. I help them reintegrate back into society, and just do my part, man. I mean, I didn't spend 20 damn years inside that human warehouse. That's my sign.
Yeah. I took a picture.
Yeah.
Look on the 14th. See?
Yeah,
I took a picture.
I mean, for me to come home and just warm up a bench, there's a lot of work to do, man, and that's why I agreed to come on this program. You guys have a platform, and we need to start changing the mindset. It's not all about glorifying this, man. We got work to do, because we got people that are investing in our failures, and it's time for us to invest in our success, man.
Now, of course. So I have a question for you. Like, how supportive are your kings of your career choice? From beginning to now. Like,
they've always been supportive. I love the brothers, man. I'm always gonna be a king.
He uplifted himself to do something better. So how can I judge? Him for trying to better himself and help other people. You know what I mean?
They respect that.
That's the main thing that we allow. You allowed to do that. You know what I'm saying? If you choose God, is like that's the Almighty. What you gonna do? That's
now, how do some of the people that come to the church view you? Like, I mean, I'm sure you got a good following. They come out, you feed the community.
Oh, the community loves me, man.
Has anybody given you any backlash of you being a part of a gang and you still?
You're always gonna have people that always. What is sad about humanity is they never remember the good things. They always remember the bad. You can do 1,000 good things and one mistake. They will always hold that mistake against you. That's why I thank God that my sins were forgiven. You know, because you have people who become spiritual scuba divers. The Bible says that God throws our sins into the sea of forgetfulness, never to remember them again. But you have individuals who become spiritual scuba divers, blow on the bottom of the sea to dig up your sin and throw it in your face. So, I mean, you got to respect the individual.
He got to get it, man.
He got the word, bro. He got the word, bro.
He cool, man.
He gonna have us all going to church.
Cool, man. Oh, my God. I don't know how he does it.
I ain't gonna lie. I went there and I looked and I'm telling you, I was, you know.
How did you find out that I
Yo, man, I
This guy is a slick guy.
I tell you, a lot of people been, been reaching out. You got to interview some kings, and then I Googled it, and then when I Googled something, the article came up where you was in a documentary about Rikers.
Yes.
And then
I'm part of the movement of closing Rikers right now. That's what we do.
And it went so fast, so I paused it. I have a picture of you in the.
I was fatter back then.
Bigger. Yeah, you were bigger. and
he was in his work clothes.
Yeah, with my clergy collar.
and then I put it on Instagram, and I said, if anybody know this man, please, tell him Queen Flip wants to speak to him. So that was no luck, and then I paused it, got your name, Googled it, then I saw a whole bunch of stuff come up. And then I said, let me go down to the church. And I went down there, and I went on a day. They said you were on the sign. I said that you would be there the next day at 6:30. And then I was there, and I was reading the sign. I was impressed. I mean, somebody stopped and spoke to me and said that they know who you were. And then, that's how I did it. And then got a call from my brother Poe, a great brother, knew him for years. And I told him, and I spoke to this wonderful man right here, Cano. And then I said, yo, there's a guy, man. And I told Poe first, I said, there's a pastor, man. I heard about him, and then he called me, but yeah, the pastor's the real deal. We could get him, and then it happened. But I went down, I did the footstep, man, because the people requested it. It's the people, the people was just saying that, we wanna hear their side of the story. You know what I mean? What they really.
Well, I'm glad that you guys afforded us the opportunity, and it's my fervent hope and prayer that that we have spoken and represented adequately.
I think so. Yeah. I think so. Yeah, I mean,
you cool too, man.
And I don't steal cars no more. I fix them now.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
What do you do today?
I'm a manager in a body shop.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's what I do. We work on cars. We fix them. We do all that. Bring your Lambo there. I know you got one in the stash.
I brought my car over there.
Yeah.
Talk to Poe.
Come over there, man.
Talk to Poe.
I definitely wanna, I wanna come to the church, man. One day, man. I for real, sit in, man.
You guys are welcome. Definitely would love to have you guys.
I'm sweating a storm up in here.
Is it in English? Cause
It's in English. Don't let the name Emmanuel First Spanish United Methodist fool you. I have the privilege of preaching in both languages, but the services mostly are preached in English, unless there's a person there that doesn't understand. So I have the ability of switching back and forth. I interpret myself, but strictly English. But it's more about the services. We would like for you guys. I quarterly extend the invitation so you guys will see what we are about. We're the real deal, man.
No, I'm with it. I'm with
yeah,
it.
just I would. Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of fake dudes that try to use things. So he's definitely not one of them.
And that's the reason why I'm sitting here.
I appreciate
He
that,
definitely.
And you, man, I'm coming to the body shop, man. We there. Is there anything that stop. How many seconds is it? 15. Okay. Is there anything that you guys have to say that we missed out? JR, come here for a minute.
Probably is so much we gotta say, but there's only a limited time. We touched up on basically. My whole point was that the oppression thing. That's really what I came up here for. Yeah. We ain't come up here to talk about real war stories or glorify
we're not selling
none of that.
No war for tickets or nothing like that, man.
There ain't none of those fake stories. We just here to that's it.
Set the record straight. That's it.
Okay. Well, hold on. I want you guys to sign out properly on because I don't know. There's 2 hours and 17.
Yeah.
Damn, we went long.
Yeah. That's about average time for our shows though. Episodes
Really?
are usually about
Okay,
like
good.
between an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that.
Yeah, but this is pushing it, man.
It's pushing it?
This is, I mean, I was tuned in all the way. I need you to change the card on this camera, please. Come on. The card is right here on the table, JR. I was tuned in all the way. I think that it's captivating and amazing, man.
Nah, the message is clear, man. I definitely understand the whole meaning behind the Latin Kings and their perspective of it. You know what I'm saying? You guys, even from the stories before you started with the gang stuff, you guys seem like stand-up guys. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you were getting a little crazy, but that's just, you were just young. You know what I mean? So that's cool. But you were, sports and everything like that. So, you guys were in jail, holding each other down. You know what I'm saying?
Basically
it wasn't like you guys went there and kind of was trying to spark stuff up. It was kind of like you got to try to hold each other down, make sure you guys.
That was our intention.
There's another card. There's a couple of cards if that card isn't working.
So, that's the message I got from today's interview.
That's really what it was all about. It was like, we got tired of the abuse.
Yeah.
And that's really what it was. I just don't like that. I don't like bullies. I'm gonna be real. I just don't like bullies. That's the best word to put it. I don't like bullies, and that's really what we was about. Like, we would help the little guys. Didn't make him a king. Half the dudes that we defended weren't kings.
They didn't have materials to be kings.
Right. But we was there.
But we was there. That's it.
You know what I'm saying? That's what we was there for. They saying a bunch of dudes. A lot of dudes just jumped into certain things or got involved with things, and they wasn't even kings. They just labeled it. They thought automatically because, he's Spanish, he's this, he's that. It wasn't even about that. You know what I'm saying? It really wasn't, bro. Like I told you, I had a lot of best friends that were black when I was growing up. It wasn't about that. You know what I'm saying? Right. It really wasn't about that. Did it get to a point where some people did? I'm not going to lie, on both sides. It did turn racial. Of course it did. You know what I'm saying? Of course it did. But that's like people throwing seeds into the shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This guy brought his anger from whatever beef he had before. This one brought his anger from, and it's just like we got the president right now, spewing all the hate that he got. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying? And he tries to clean it up. No, I didn't do that. Just like Bailey did. You know what I'm saying? Straight up and down. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. I ain't gonna knock him. I ain't gonna keep beating him down either.
No, I mean, a lot of people said, I don't know, we weren't there. But I see like a lot of people are questioning or do not like what Bailey said.
Because he sugarcoated a lot of the things. That's what it was. Like, he tried to make himself like, I was fair, I was this. Bro, you talked greasy to a lot of people. And we couldn't do nothing because we was getting beat there. Come on, bro. Come on. That's why I said I saw certain things that were Mel Cross, and I agree with him. And I'm on the different side of the fence. And I'm agreeing 100% with someone that's on the opposing side is saying. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand, like, they was mentally and physically abusing people. They have a bad day at home. Who they taking that out on? You think they taking it out on their wife? No, they got to work like 60, 70 hours. So who they going to take it out on? They're not home with her.
Us.
Right.
They're not home with her. Mm-hmm. So who they taking out that abuse on? Us? You know what I'm saying? She ain't cook. Or they ain't get this or they ain't get that. Where they coming to bring their drama? To work. Where do most people take their drama? To work. Or from work. You know what I'm saying? But now the difference is you could play and do what you want to do, because in there you can act like you super tough. But when you walk into half these COs, half them, there was chumps.
That's true.
Half of them's chumps in the street. Or they grew up in the suburbs somewhere, or they grew up somewhere else, so now they come here and they don't know the culture, they don't understand, so now they think they're going to get physical.
They would have never survived what we'd endured. Never.
How many COs got blasted in the face in the Ford building? HDM, when King Black hit the CO in the face with the 45-pound weight for popping his beads. Well, bro, shit was on and popping. Shit was on and popping, bro. Our beefs was more with the police. Wow. But the abuse, I don't care if you was black and you was getting beat up by the police, we was there.
We was there.
We
gonna hold you down.
So that's why that whole thing, I'm lost, bro. Like, I'm really lost how it turned into the racial riots of the jails. Like, I don't know, bro. I mean, maybe that's the experience they experienced because they was going to C95. I'm not saying that their story's not true. I'm not. That's their story. Once again, I'm not going to be...
And we came and told ours.
Is there anything? Any last words? So we
No,
can
bro.
Nah,
You
we
know,
good. We said enough.
Salute, shout
do
out
you
to all the
guys-
bros. That's it.
How do you guys personally feel about this interview?
I mean, we said we didn't tell a lie. We said.
I
it
mean,
like
honestly,
it
I
is.
can't keep it the way I did
Yeah.
it just to say nobody was oppressing nobody. That's really what I came up here to say. I really ain't come up here to.
Beat your I understand.
Yes.
But how about how we conducted it?
I think you guys are very professional.
You guys did it.
I think you was very fair with the questions.
Okay.
I think you was definitely very fair. I do think at the platform that you do have, you did play a fair obsession of what was going on. You gave us the same platform that you gave them. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I do feel that it was definitely fair.
Thank
The
you.
questions was fair.
definitely
I actually
agree.
think you took it a little bit lighter on us than you did on them.
Well, you know what it is?
But we was on a different vibe.
Yeah,
And
the
it was a
vibe
different
definitely-
thing because
the vibe was
it's just a different vibe, They was one mindset, we on a different thing. This is what we about, we about building. My thing is about teaching, building, and understanding each other. And that's really what we about, you know what I'm saying? Now, it's about respect. You a man, I'm a man.
Would you ever be interested in teaching, like giving a class on body work? If you understand, like I don't know how long it takes, but just showing.
Takes too long, bro. Takes too long.
Say if a
Like an
kid-
apprenticeship program.
Yeah, apprenticeship. We actually took a couple of apprentices, and the process is so long that
I heard
they
it.
don't. Like, I'm gonna be real. I took it in Wyoming when I was in jail, and I ain't catch on to it in there like that. It's more of a hands-on thing, and it's a thing that takes time. They got to start from the bottom, polishing the cars, sanding the cars, prepping them. A lot of people don't want to start from the cleaning and all that. They want to just jump into it, but
Yeah.
people don't understand. The last thing that the customer sees is the car being cleaned. So if you don't know how to clean a car, you just fucked up the paint. You fucked up everything that we did that came out beautiful just for leaving a couple of water stains or a couple of compound marks. Customer got a sour face just for that. They forgot now how the car looked before it came there. They forget how the paint looked, how everything looked because of a little bit of compound in the doors, or he didn't vacuum the car right, or didn't wipe the dust off right. So the most important part is the first part that you're supposed to learn, and people don't want to do that. That's the problem.
He cool, man.
That's the problem. What's the first thing you gonna look at when you come? Yo, he left all this soap here. He left all this. Come on, man.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
Well, listen, we definitely appreciate you guys
y'all,
coming
man.
up, man. I
Thank you for
definitely-
having us,
I
bro.
I learned a lot, man. It's not,
Yes.
I learned a lot, man. I'm looking at G's notes, man, and it's amazing, man, how you just take things down and stuff like that. I try to cheat, I try to get some pointers from you, man, because you write things
He
down.
took the short class like the court reporter.
Nah, he had a lot of, it was dope, man. I think that, I learned a lot today, man. And I definitely appreciate you guys coming up here and telling your side, because that was what's important. We here to give everybody a fair
I mean,
shake.
the only way to find out is you get a couple of neutral guys that was up there. There was a lot of neutral dudes that was up there, both colors that were neutral. That's how you gonna
They
hear
can
the real
attest
story.
to that. What we said today.
Yeah, that's how you
That's
gonna
what we're
get
doing,
the
though.
story.
We start
And I
there,
like
we
what
come
y'all
in
doing.
now, and then we'll go.
Listen,
see
I don't
who
knock
else
them.
is,
Like I said, I don't knock them. That's their version of events. This is our version of
A
events.
lot of people, they and some people do get offended that, see some videos of, we giving people a platform, but it's about hearing the story. If I could change, I was in Jamaica, and
How is Scully, by the way?
I spoke to him. He's good.
He's good.
Scully is good. I spoke to him on the phone, and his whole, from what you hear.
You guys
about
still
him,
recording, or this is done?
No, we're still recording.
All right.
Yeah, but
Give a shout out to Scully, man.
Okay, yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, we talked about some things in his whole vision now. His vision now is different from, he told me this on the phone, that his vision is different from how he was. He's not on that type of time, man. He did a lot of things. He's about the people.
We grew up, man.
Yeah,
We
he's
grew
about
up,
uplifting
man.
the people. He doesn't want to glorify anything, and he's about uplifting the people and all the stuff to prevent them from going through. That's what he told me on the phone, man. To prevent them from going through what he went through. You know what I mean? And I thought that was dope, him saying that. And and it's just I learned a lot, man. Learning and hearing, and like I said, I was in Jamaica, and the lady asked me the same thing. What's the point of this? I see you getting a lot of views, but what is the point? You know, what's the message you're trying to put out there? Scully asked me the same thing. And initially, you don't know how to answer that question because I'm not in this position. I'm not a part of a gang. I'm just, hearing the story. But basically, everybody's saying that your platform is big enough to help make change, to bring awareness to how the people are being treated in the system. Man. To bring
this is a powerful tool, man.
Yeah, and it's like.
But you gotta understand, everything comes from the OGs. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Like, look, I got relationships with Hocus 4/5 from Sex Money Murder. That's my brother. You know what I mean? Rock Red. I got different relationships with different bloods. You want me to tell you a story? You know whose car I had when he got killed? That detectives came and got the car from us? SI's car, which is a Honda. That's a fact. We had his car when that shit happened. You know what I'm saying? So there was different relationships with different people. You understand what I'm saying? Shout out to Drum from Long Island. Different people that we was dealing with. They're our homies. You understand what I'm saying? And we deal with them in everyday life.
We still deal with them.
Everyday life. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not about what side
I was going to bring a big homie today.
Yeah, he was going to bring somebody, but I told him they already got their platform. This is for us.
That's my brother. That's my brother.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, you could talk to Flip about bringing him from a different point of view.
I mean,
But y'all could talk off camera of that if you want. But like I said, bro, there's a lot of people that we deal with in the music industry, especially Poe. Poe deals with, Shooter, all type of different people.
Man.
Come on, bro.
Poe,
So this is what I'm trying to tell you. Like, it's a different type of time. You understand that people make it out to be, it's this, it's that. It's not even about that, bro. It's not about that. Imagine we was all unified as one, fighting the oppression. You understand what I'm saying? Like we were supposed to, under the 5. You know what I'm saying? It's different because there's a lot of people that got their own objectives and they got their own agendas. And that's the biggest problem. You got agendas. People that have their agendas, and one person can lead the whole flock in the wrong direction. And that's the reality of it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So,
And like I was, and that's what I was saying, the lady told me as far as, we have a platform that could, and that's what I think it turned into as well. You had to sit down and really analyze and think about it. Of course, I don't consider myself, I'm not a journalist. I'm just a person that, our interviews are different from others. How we talk to the people, how we vibe, and, the connection.
Let me state something that today, you guys have been inducted into my Hall of Fame, man. You guys gave us an opportunity to speak. You guys are my heroes, man.
Oh, man, thank you.
And that's coming from the pastor. Where's the clap? Come on.
Wow, man. Yeah, man, what's up with you, man? Come on, y'all make people settlement. Stop that, man. Trying to get a settlement.
Be careful. He about to make your honorary members.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to. I definitely want to. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, man,
and I'm just happy that you guys came up here, and then, it turned into something else.
Yeah.
Listen, if we could save one kid from going down the path that we all went down,
our job is done.
It's worth it. You understand what I'm saying? It's worth it. I don't want my 2 sons to go down that path. That's why I'm so strict with
my nephew to go down
my
that
daughter
path.
is a different. She college. She doing. My son, he halfway, but he's a good kid. You know what I mean? That's why I ain't come here to glorify her because of my kids. You know what I mean? Respect. And I'm trying to be a different look. I ain't been in jail. There ain't no wood around here since 97, but you know what I mean? It's a long time. So I've been doing something right to, you know what I mean? And I'm still not 100% active, but I do go to functions at least a couple of times a year to see some of the people, you know what I'm saying? And I respect all the young brothers, and, that's all it's about. It's about unity, you know what I mean? That's all I'm about, is getting my brothers together and chilling with them, and spreading love. I'm not with all that, that unnecessary... If it happens, it happens. Like I said, if they disrespect the G code, it's different. But we ain't on that type of time. You know what I mean? It's all about love. You know what I mean? Unifying the brothers. That's it. You know what I mean? And I'm not just saying brothers as far as my brothers. I'm saying in general, I'm not with that. Unless that's it. We older. I'm about to be 50. What I'm going to do? I'm going to keep following things. And come on. It gets to a point that,
This guy's a cool guy, man. I like this guy a lot, man. So, just look at your shirt, man. The colors. I don't know.
Yeah. He repping today. He repping.
You repping.
I was gonna do that, and I said that was
just
too
for the
much.
Occasion,
was that intentional?
Yeah, of course it was.
I don't like that.
I told you we're gonna make y'all honorary members.
Yo, listen, I want to thank you.
You got
both.
some Caribbean roots, right?
Yes, I do.
Oh, see?
Yeah.
See?
All right.
Stop it.
Yo,
Come on, man.
get the room ready.
I just want to really thank you both for coming up here and telling the story.
Thank you for having us, brother.
You know what I mean? I
Thank
think
you,
it's
man.
amazing, man. And you know, and yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Can you sign us out, G?
I don't need to sign out. Just, you know, sign us out, man. I'm good. I'm part of the whole thing, though, man.
This is the smoothest one I've seen. Usually you hyped up.
Where can they find you at, Pastor? If they want to speak to you, to come to the church, can you give us some
I'm literally across the street from Barclay Center.
Yes,
I'm
you
in Park
are.
Slope. Our address is 424 Dean Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11217. You got the big, huge red church. You can't miss it. Literally across the street from Barclay Center. You get to Atlantic Terminal, get off right across the street. I'm there Sunday mornings, 10 a.m.
And it's open to everyone.
It's open to everyone, you know. And come hungry, man. I'm going to feed you.
That's dope.
Yeah, he happy about that one.
Yeah. Yo, listen, man. Yeah. Yo, and where's the shop at? What's the name of the shop? And you know.
That's all we about, bro. That's it.
That's what's up.
Yeah, this Queen's Flip, man. Classic episode.
Yes. You feel good?
I feel good, man.
This is good. This is good.
It was good. How you like it?
It's good. You cool?
Yeah, cool.
You alright? Get out of here, man.
When we sign out, you gonna sign out, man, because you got something to say.
I got nothing to say.
I definitely want to shout out our sponsors, Maestro's Classic, man.
At the Maestros.
Maestro's, you know, they have been sponsoring us for about 2 years, and you know, make sure you get your beard wash and your beard recovery at Target, CVS. You know, with the WWE, which is dope. You know, I just want to. People always have something to say, but I gotta acknowledge these things, man. It's amazing that, you know, people, regardless of what people always find negative reasons or annotations to say they're sponsoring y'all because of this. I don't look into things like that. I take things for face value at the moment, and then when I look, if I see anything deeper, then I'll be able to. Everybody's innocent till proven guilty in my eyes, and that's just how it is. That's how I feel about it. You know, shout out to Maestro. I definitely want to say that, man, for taking care of us, for holding us down, for you know, sponsoring us, a real sponsor. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah. Remember, lock your doors, close your windows, close your blinds, and if you see the pastor and Cano on your lawn, you don't need a firearm. Nope. Well, with Cano, you may need to hold a knife, but you don't need to let the pastor in, let Cano in, put Cano in the living room, put the pastor in the kitchen, and then bring them together. I'm from Queens.